I was not expecting that.
Welcome back to summer camp, kids. I hope you've packed your tight jean shorts and your tight virgin asses because you're about to get fucked by a machete as we return to Camp Crystal Lake to awaken Jason from his shallow underwater grave to raise hell on all you misbehaving kids. You fucking miscreants.
That's our 15-minute profanity warning now
Yeah,
gone.
I already did it. I know. It's God. It's hard,
Oh, well.
man. Hard
I
living.
guess it's hard to not be who you are.
It is true. I need to get sticky notes. I said that to the wife, and I'm gonna put like no swearing. Don't mention this so often. Watch for your ums. It's just like reminders of things that to tighten up the ship. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
it's
was
so
like
bad.
Groucho
It's so
Marx,
hard.
man.
You do actually. It's kind of scary, looking to be honest. Yeah, welcome back, everybody. This is part 2 of our Friday the 13th deep dive, where we are going to take a look at Friday the 13th, part 5, A New Beginning. Friday the 13th, part 6, Jason Lives. Friday the 13th, part 7, The New Blood. And Friday the 13th, part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. How do you feel about like the Friday the 13th and then like the subtitle thing as well? Like Jason Lives or Jason Takes Manhattan. How do you feel about that in movies?
I actually don't mind that much. You know, like Scream does its own thing where it's like part 4, 5, whatever, right? But I think I don't know, kind of it is part of the style, especially of like a Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday 13th, Puppet Master, even Child's Play. Is it not? I guess it's does Child's Play do? I don't think they do.
No, they don't have like the subtitles
No.
really.
Yeah, Wishmaster is kind of like that.
Yeah, I do kind of like it, and a lot of times, I mean, it's like horror can be seen as quite cringy and quite like how would I say it? I don't know, a little bit goofy, I guess. So I like sometimes when they lean into some of those titles, but the one that always sticks out in my mind that I absolutely despise is The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know why. I'm like, oh, I really don't like that one.
I actually like the first two, and then I just find that they play too much into the Ed and Warren characters, and a lot of it wasn't true. We'll talk about it at some point, I'm sure. I have some episodes about the real haunting, and I would like to talk about the Warrens at some point because I think it would be worth talking about. But yeah, it gets cheesier, and you know the Annabelle movie, first one, decent. Okay, I didn't mind it. Thought it was kind of spooky. Second one, terrible. Wasn't a fan of the Nun either. Too much CGI. You know, I'd rather see practical effects like in Friday 13th that we get than half this
That's what I
other
was just
stuff.
gonna say. That's something we don't really have to worry about with Friday the 13th, because basically everything is practical. Do we want to jump in then to the first movie we're going to cover?
Let's do it. And if you are listening, I attempted to dress up like an 80s guy. I had a plan to actually cut some jean shorts like super short and then just stand up in the middle of the stream and just shock everybody. But I threw out all my bad jeans. Like literally I had a pair that I wore when I was Roddy Piper for the Halloween special that were just like these typical dad jeans, and I must have thrown them out because I was going to cut those bad boys up, but didn't work out that well. So I have my jean jacket and my goofy hair. I'm wearing a wig that's a mullet, but it's a really bad mullet. I kind of look like Wayne from Wayne's World.
You do a little bit, actually, to be fair. I was trying to like place exactly who or what you look like, but that's probably a good shout. That hair is absolutely ridiculous for
I'll put
anybody
it back
who's
on later.
watching the video format. We would advise with some of these deep dives as well. If you are listening audio only, obviously you can still listen along, and we're quite happy to have all the audio listeners jump in. But there will be aspects of this where we'll be talking about things that we're showing on screen. So it's always probably advised to maybe check out the video format for some of these longer deep dives because we will be pulling stuff up on screen. So yeah,
This mask is ridiculous, man. This one, like the other one, shapes your face well, but this one looks like it's like really like wide.
it's just like a big fucking round.
Yeah, I kind of like it though.
Same. I don't know. There's something like about it where I'm like, I kind of like that look.
Yeah, I'm wearing the
Which I
party
don't think I would.
buddy.
Okay, so let's jump into the first movie we're going to cover in this part 2 of the deep dive, which is Friday the 13th, part 5, A New Beginning. It is the fifth installment in the Friday the 13th film series. So then we just have some, I suppose, basic stats and details about the movie. Released March 22nd, 1985. Directed by Danny Steinman. Produced by Timothy Silver. Based on a screenplay by David Cohen, Danny Steinman. Music once again by Harry Manfredini. Let's see, production company Terror Inc., which is owned obviously by Sean Cunningham. Distributed by Paramount
John
Pictures.
Cunningham.
Yeah, I know, right? We have a runtime of 92 minutes for this one. Budget estimated at 2.2 million, and supposedly the box office gross somewhere around 22 million. So before we jump into just chatting back and forth, I'll just give everybody a really quick plot summary. So, the story follows Tommy Jarvis, who was traumatized by his encounter with Jason Voorhees in the previous films. Now a teenager, Tommy is sent to a halfway house for troubled youth, where a new series of murders begins, leading him to confront his fears and the possibility that Jason has returned.
Yeah.
Dun.
Jason is back. But it's not really Jason, it's fucking Roy.
So, what was your? Can you remember the first time you ever saw this movie, your first experience with it, or first memories of seeing this movie?
So I actually do remember this quite vividly. I was young. I don't know how old, maybe like 11 or something, 12. And me and my buddy rented it from I think Blockbuster or like the store down the street, Flicks or something. And I remember watching it, and that's why I've said that the part fives with Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th were the biggest disappointments to me. One is where Freddy Krueger, obviously, if you can listen to listen to that deep dive if you have not yet, he has a child. Freddy is pregnant. I'm just kidding, but somewhat. And then this one, I remember watching as a kid, and I remember like I didn't mind it. I didn't mind with the direction it was headed. It was filmed, in my opinion, pretty decently. And then at the end, you find out that it's Roy. And I remember being like, what the fuck, man? Where's Jason? And but now as I've gotten older, I actually do enjoy it to some extent. I actually it's kind of grown on me. Hence why I have an action figure, I have the mask, just because I do actually enjoy this one more than I thought I would, especially as I got older. Do you remember where you were when you watched this?
I don't know if I do, to be honest. I try to think back to like the first time I seen it or something like that, but I definitely something similar to you where I do have vivid memories of, and I was kind of the opposite, I think, of what a lot of people were. I was like, huh, that was actually kind of cool because I thought for the entire time, obviously, I was at an age where I didn't pick up on all those like really overtly obvious clues we were given, where like Roy
Yeah.
is
Oh,
showing up.
yeah.
He's like, he like randomly looks into the camera and he's like, or like there's a part where the sheriff says something and he's like, huh? And the sheriff's like, what? And he's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I
I know.
thought you were talking to me, sheriff. Like they keep like putting him in little weird scenes like that, and I didn't pick up on it as a
Oh my
kid.
god. Okay, I gotta switch something on the camera.
Dun, 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 Tom is gone.
Edit.
Roy has gotten Tom.
Everybody, Tom is dead.
Oh, there's me and fucking-
Dun, dun, dun.
So yeah, I'm just going to continue on here. So we have a cast: John Shepherd as Tommy Jarvis, Melanie
All
Kinnaman
right.
as
Well,
Sam
we'll have.
Robert.
What are you doing?
I was just going to continue on. I didn't care. I was just going raw.
We're gonna cut that. Yeah, that should be fine. I can remember what setting it is that keeps the screen on. Yeah. Roy boy. They do add that in where you're like starting to notice it. This jacket is so fucking hot, man. Oh.
Yeah, it's strange. Like obviously, kind of like you said, the film received mostly negative reviews from critics, but Like I think a lot of these things, it has gained a cult following among film fans of the franchise. It was criticized for its departure from the previous films by introducing a new killer instead of Jason Voorhees. Despite the criticism, A New Beginning was financially successful and continued the franchise's tradition of profitability.
Yeah, for sure. And it's interesting because Corey Feldman was going to maybe reprise his role as Tommy Jarvis, would have made it a different movie to begin with. But he was working on The Goonies. So the script was rewritten to have Feldman's character as a limited to a cameo, which you guys did get into it right away of him going to Jason's grave. And it would have been interesting to see if he did come back and they targeted more towards him being like a kind of like older, kid. And, it would have been a different story.
Yeah, like it's kind of, I suppose that's hindsight with everything, but it's one of those things where you kind of wonder like what else could have been.
Yeah.
Let's have a look here. I'm going to pull these up before we move any further. So let's take a look at some of the taglines for this movie. Tom's favorite part of every show that we do.
Yeah, I love the tagline. It's my favorite.
So yeah, for anyone watching the video format, you will see the taglines on screen now as well. So let's start. First up, we have Terror is Reborn. Was that crickets I heard?
Yes.
Second, we have If Jason Still Haunts You, You're Not Alone. Again, not great.
Definitely not.
A New Beginning to the First Step in Terror.
It's not that bad. It could be worse.
Let me try that. Oh no, hold on. Let me finish them all actually first. So the last one is the mindless, murderous fury that was buried with Jason has been reborn, and suddenly terror has become child's play.
Don't like that one at all.
Okay, so
Don't
which
like
is your
it.
favorite one?
Probably New Beginning is to the first step in terror is actually kind of clever. It's not bad, It's not bad.
To the first step in terror.
Terror.
I reached at the end of that one there.
Yeah, I can tell. Yeah, the opening scene is kind of awesome for what it is. It's kind of creepy, but what we do get in this movie is skinny Jason. He's a pretty skinny boy.
Yeah, he is actually.
So we do get a pretty skinny Jason. This movie does hold a special place in my heart, and I remember exactly where I was.
How do you feel about the costume?
It's very simple. It's very
that
simple.
like kind of Michael Myers-y kind of like jumpsuit kind of thing.
I've said there's a part of me that likes this movie. I think it's just like the kills are pretty decent. I think the acting is pretty decent. He could have been better, but there's something about me that kind of likes the simplified look. Just this bald, skinny guy with it. It is weird because you get skinny Jason. He's not that hulking, and even the guy that played him was like a skinny guy. And then, pretty weird. Then you have Tommy Jarvis, who looks like Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah, like a lot of people gave me shit for saying that I actually kind of enjoy this movie, and like, especially now, all these years removed from it, I really like the concept of like they were going. I mean, we're at part 5 at this stage.
Yeah.
So, and in pretty quick succession, in the space of like 4 or 5 years, we've had 5 movies. And to be fair, this is quite like a left field idea for 1985 to come up with a thing of like
Scream.
Kind of like a copycat killer. Now, maybe it didn't land as well as they expected it to, but it was quite ambitious in fairness. Like I'll give, and the Friday franchise is like has been like really consistent and good with that, where each movie did try to make itself different.
Its own thing. That's why it's so weird when you see all the different Jasons, because people are like, why is Jason so different in every movie? And you hear like Tom Savini talk about it, where he's like, it was his different makeup artist. So it's like it just kind of panned out the way it did. And yeah, I don't know. It kind of is like that. What Scream ended up coining and making better was the whole Guess Who killer. And the whole time you do think that it might be possible that it is Tommy Jarvis that is the killer after losing his mind, which could have been a weird direction for the movie. Who really knows? But yeah, he definitely looks like Dahmer in this movie. Like it's pretty spot on.
Yeah. I don't know, like I can't I love in a way the character of Roy and the whole idea, to be honest. Not gonna lie.
I know it's different, right? And I don't know, and obviously people didn't like it as much as they could have, but it is what it is, and like I said, it grew on me. I'm just looking at just a picture of him, see if I can bring it out because his eyes look weird. But it is
What,
it is bring this up, just like it looks like he's cross-eyed, but I kind of like this look. There is a part of me that does like this look. If Aaron would bring it up on screen, it would be helpful.
sorry, man.
I kind of like this look. There's something about it and the mask being different, but look at his eyes. Look at his. It's definitely cross-eyed. So pretty like it is. I don't know. There's something about it that I do enjoy, and it is kind of different, and I kind of dig the mask. So something different.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's unique. I kind of like how they really went for it. Again, it probably didn't land as well as they expected the whole thing to. But I don't know. I don't know. Like I don't know if it's nostalgia or what it is, but I actually had a really good time rewatching this. I forgot how much of a good time it is.
You got the token black kid, man. Tommy scares Reggie. I think that's pretty funny when he's like he tries to scare Tommy, and then Tommy does play this like disturbed kind of like I'm saying he looks like some sort of serial killer, and he like the guy, and I did write down the guy does do a fairly good job at acting. Like the acting is somewhat subpar, but it's not bad. And I feel like I'd rather watch some of these people in 80s movies act than some of the stuff coming out nowadays. And I thought the actor did do a good job. It's just weird when it then changes in 7. And there's one thing about Friday the 13th is not consistent at all. Just never has been.
That's that little black kid Reggie Winter or whatever, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Reggie.
I love his lines where
Oh yeah.
like I don't want to get into that kind of stuff, but it is very like generic. I can tell a white man wrote these lines for a black guy.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's what I was saying. So read the token black kid.
Yeah,
right?
but it's like really bad, like really obvious. Like, man, you are one scared cat.
Yeah. It's so true.
Christ.
And even some of the lines with his brother or whatever is very like generic, and you could just tell the time that now like they're been told like you got to have at least like one black guy in the movies, okay? Or we gotta push out diversity and stuff. So they at this time that you could see this in horror movies where they were doing this, right? And even the Tommy's opening dream was different in the original script and arguably made more sense of him maybe being the suspect later on. And obviously in the final chapter, as young Tommy is taken to the hospital as Jason's corpse, then it suddenly fits. He has a fit of a psychotic rage. Young Tommy winds up attacking half the hospital staff, trying to get to the morgue, finding out if Jason's bloody body is down there. Once he had finally found the body, Jason suddenly arises from the autopsy table. Immediately after this, the adult Tommy wakes up in a van en route to Pinehurst, the Pinehurst house. That would have been interesting too, because I don't know if it would have been just interesting to see if Corey Feldman did come back to play it and they focus more on him as a young kid. Would have been kind of something different, because it is weird because they always focus we'll get into it in the next movie, but it's there's only one movie where the kids are at camp, and it actually is focused on like more or less like kids being at camp and what this movie is kind of supposed to be. You know what I mean? Because it's mostly just a lot of the counselors and adults, right? But there's probably things like there's definitely scenes cut in a lot of these movies where they could have made it more gory, or there was different scenes, the kill scenes that they had to take out because everyone was afraid to get an X rating. And then I feel like it was definitely a little more strict than it is nowadays, where they can allow some more, like even the latest Scream movie, right? Number 6, where there's a lot of like stabbing and gutting. And I feel like they're allowed to kind of push the boundaries a little more today than they did back then.
How do you feel about I suppose Roy's like backstory and motivation.
I don't
Or
know. It's okay. It's so funny because I remember where I was when I watched this movie, right? And the scene with Joey, the chocolate bar scene, I remember me and my friend used to make fun of that like all the time. Like, you want my chocolate bar? Yeah, like, I got some chocolate. You know, we're just like doing the scene or whatever. And I remember that scene specifically stuck out to me a lot of like the guy losing his shit on him and then putting the axe in his back. And it kind of makes sense a little bit of why Roy would want to take out revenge, you know, after they killed his big dumb
Yeah,
son.
sure.
You know what I mean? And then it's so funny. You also have like Ethel and her dirty dumb son, Junior. You tell him, Ma. And she's like, would you shut the fuck up? Like, there is some funny scenes within this and some decent like characters for what they were trying to create. I think you know, it's kind of, there's some kind of funny, weird scenes and in the film. And yeah, that Joey scene always stuck out to me when we were kids and we used to make fun of it because we thought it was ridiculous. Obviously, it's got like chocolate all over his face.
Yeah, it's like overtly ridiculous.
Yes.
There was something I had pulled up here. Let me see.
Weird. Not counting laughing or yelling, the Tommy Jarvis character only says 24 words throughout the whole movie. That's weird. I did not know that.
That idea of like I was just I had something in the notes here about you know, the character of Tommy originally intended to be developed further in future sequels as a new protagonist. It was abandoned due to mixed receptions.
Yeah.
There's another one. The script underwent numerous rewrites. Early drafts included Tommy being the killer. This concept was later scrapped in favor of Roy Burns' twist. I wonder what that conversation was like. The idea of having um, Tommy end up being the killer and then, you know, being like, no,
Yeah.
actually, you know what? Let's have Roy Burns.
I know. I don't know why they flipped it so much. It made it because it would make sense just to make Tommy the killer, and then they could have carried on with the next movie actually being Jason or whatever. But it is kind of weird. You know what's weird? To keep the storyline a secret, the film originally was called Repetition after the David Bowie song of the same name. Several of the other Friday 13th films have used Bowie songs as fake titles. Did not know that. That's weird. And we were talking about the idea of like the X rating because 1 month prior to the film's release in the US, the Motion Picture Association of America demanded that 16 scenes featuring sex or graphic violence be edited in order to merit an R rating instead of X. The film ultimately required 9 trips to the MPAA before being granted a R rating. And then it's like you just imagine like what could have this look like? A lot of these movies, like, and I would love to see some of those scenes. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, you do have that. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that
16
is
scenes is a
wild.
lot, man.
Yeah, it is. It's like excessive. Like
So weird.
I'm just looking at some of the trivia here. We've
Yeah.
covered some of this, and you just talked about some of it, but I'll just give a quick rundown. Budget of 2 million, approximately made just under 22 million. The kill count is at 21, which we'll probably get into in a
Yeah, I'm
second.
gonna get through the kill count.
Obviously, as you mentioned, it had a lot of issues with the MPAA.
Which is crazy. Well,
Um,
that's not surprising.
The film was cast under the fake title Repetition. Most of the actors didn't know they were working on a Friday the 13th movie until they
That's
went
cool.
to shoot.
That's actually kind of funny.
This movie had more nudity and deaths than any previous installment at the
I
time.
love that.
And I think a lot of that had to do with what many people considered a controversial decision for the director, which is Danny Steinman. He had a background in adult films, which influenced his approach to the movie. His direction resulted in a film that is notably more explicit in terms of violence and sexual content compared to any previous movies.
Maybe that's why I liked it. You know, maybe that's why I like it more. Yeah,
Yeah,
a little
maybe
more,
so.
a little more nudity. You know, that's where
Uh,
the mask has the blue markings instead of the normal red, foreshadowing that Jason, the real killer, isn't Jason at all. Which is interesting because it kind of makes sense of why they chose that because it is so different. And
Yeah.
that always stuck out to me too when I watched it when I was younger and I was like really getting into the horror and my love for it. And I just remember it like it was such a different thing that I wasn't sure if I even liked it. But it is weird how much it did grow on me. It's probably like my second or third favorite in the whole franchise. just for like the idea of a stalking killer walking around and then massacring people. And I think because there were so many decent death scenes, and I'm so curious to see what it would have been like if they had like all of those scenes. The 16 that got cut would have been interesting.
Have you already talked about the alternate ending?
No.
So apparently they had scripted this out, but it was never filmed, or they never like tried to block it out or anything to film it. Where Pam finds Reggie's head in the refrigerator, and
Nice.
Tommy, dressed as Jason, pops out and attacks her.
Weird. I don't know if I like that.
I feel like we'll stick with what we got.
Strange, man.
Yeah, it was critically panned upon release. Since gained a cult following, fans appreciate its attempt to take the series in a new direction and its status as a unique entry in the franchise. Yeah, I have to say, I actually really do kind of dig
It's
that
so
so much.
different than the rest of them. It really is, right? So, like, and there's some cool kills. Like, we'll get into it in a little bit, but I love like even that flare kill.
Yeah,
You know, where like there's this cool, and it's a quick shots because obviously they couldn't keep a lot in, but it's just unique. You can tell it's a fake head, and I love practical effects. And this scene where he does the belt around the eyes,
yeah.
I remember that scene. I remember vividly when I was a kid, and I think people could probably guess why. You know, there is a lot of nudity in this film, but that scene where he gets his eyes crushed, I remember as a kid being like, "Oh, what the," like, you know what I mean? And it really invoking. You know, you kind of you're cringing a bit at the thought of what that would be like, you know.
Yeah, and it is very like out there and unique. And I feel like it's definitely one of the more, not to say any of this stuff is sick, like any kills in a movie like this are quite
Yeah,
graphic and sick, but I don't know, there's something about that one, the
a little
idea
more
of like
brutal.
having your face and your eyes like pulverized by a leather belt.
Well, it's pretty crazy. You know the chick that does she's listening to the punk music and she's doing like the robot alone in her room,
Yeah.
kind of weird, you know? So there was a scene, the actor Reggie talks about this, because I was watching some of the docs before we started, and she was supposed to get a knife or a machete in the vagina. She was supposed to be like spread eagle, and then Jason shoves I think it's a machete inside of her vagina, everybody. So imagine what we could have got. Imagine what we could have got, you know.
Um, I seen that John Shepherd, who played Tommy Jarvis, actually took his role so seriously that he volunteered at a state mental hospital to prepare for
Wow.
his.
He did a pretty good job though, realistically. It's so funny because I like him as Tommy, and then when we get into the sixth one, I like him as Tommy. I actually like them both, as weird as that
Yeah,
is. It's such
yeah,
a weird thing. That's why these movies are just in my I was gonna say play a drinking game on the last show now, including the one that we have of me saying nostalgic, but it's like these movies are nostalgic to me in the way that they're laid out and how they are so different. I think it's kind of part of the fun. And you know, I do think that it adds to it. Sure, this could have been better. We got what we got though, and there is a huge cult following and love for all of these in some regard. And you know, there is hopefully still a chance to create something different, right? Roy on the spikes.
yeah. I don't know if we'll ever see something like this again. I'm not. I don't want to sound too dramatic and be like, "Oh,
Yeah.
it's the best movie ever," or anything. But
No,
like,
no.
I feel like movies don't really get a chance to try like this one did anymore. I
And
think it'd be shut
yeah.
down pretty quick. Like they'd be like, "There's no way we're going to let you do a movie like this."
Dude, and there's something about like the cover too is just so different and weird. Like there's not even the mask. It's just like they picked a mask off of like
Yeah.
some graphic site or something like that on the internet. And I don't even think the internet was still, it was around, but it wasn't like around today. And it is interesting because there's a lot of time and work we'll talk about that went definitely into the costume of Jason and some of the effects and the makeup, especially in the next movies that we're going to be talking about. But there is something that's nostalgic about the covers. I don't know that feeling, man. When I was a kid, and you go to the store and you're young, and I specifically remember this one called Flicks, and there was always those kind of stores, those not like Blockbuster, but the kind of mom and pop shops that they would have more horror movies. and especially some of the more obscure ones. And I remember seeing all the Friday the 13th laid out on VHS in a row, and just the cool art. I remember like picking up number 5 and just it being a very simple cover, but still intrigued me in a way. But that feeling of what I got when I was a kid, like looking at these movies, I can't replicate that nowadays.
I feel like that when I haven't seen this one in so long, I kind of forgot about it. And then when
I
I
love
was
the 80s
rewatching it,
music too.
yeah,
And like
it,
some
it
of these are like fun.
it definitely, and it's been a long time since I've watched the movie, and it kind of, I don't know, I got that same feeling. I was like, damn, this kind of feels like a Friday night. I've just rented this, and I
Yeah.
don't really. Obviously, I knew Roy Burns was the killer and stuff, but I didn't really remember much of the movie, so it kind of felt like that feeling you got as a kid where you didn't know what to expect.
There's and even it's so funny. Even Chelsea was like, "Yeah," I was like, "I forget some things that happen." She's like, "You've seen these movies a million times. How do you forget?" I'm like, "Weirdly, I just there's some things I just don't. I won't remember actually, what kill is when or what." And I'm like, even
Yeah.
though I've seen these a million times, and I still thoroughly enjoy watching them. Obviously, after this, I think that I'll have to put it to rest for another year, and then to watch. I'll be, in the summer next year watching them once again. But there's something that is kind of just fun, and the music. There's, I think, when the chick is dancing, it's some like, "Oh, there's a Frankenstein" or something weird like that. It's just very like 80s, like the one hit wonder band that made a song for like a horror movie, and you can definitely tell. And every song, and especially the later movies like this one, the next one, is very, very much sounds the same. Like they all sound like the very generic like 80s like, kind of pop rock kind of song. It's pretty funny. I enjoy it.
That like the image of Roy Burns with like the, I don't even know what you would call it,
The
like that.
cowl.
Yeah,
The
it's
cowl was
like,
like split open. That's what I told you. I remember like watching that being like pissed off when I was a kid.
but that like since then has kind of become like a cult image. Like every time I see it, I'm like, oh yeah, that. Remember like how much people hated the idea of that.
I know. And especially because it was just like it wasn't Tommy, it was just someone, just some background character. And they did it before Scream did it really in some other films, but it I don't know, some I just remember just not liking it as a
Yeah, it
kid.
definitely doesn't. Like I said, now I appreciate it and I like it. And maybe a lot of that has to do with nostalgia, but it
Mhm.
definitely, I can't imagine at the time being a fan of this franchise and maybe getting used to certain characters only for some just like kind of random dude that like you get a tiny bit of backstory about like, oh, this thing happened to his kid or whatever, and he just happened to go crazy and decided to dress up as Jason. And the big payoff is, oh yeah, it's that guy, remember?
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
it kind of feels like. It's like, oh, it's that guy. Like, oh, you're
Yeah.
expecting it to be like Tommy or maybe this person or that person or actual Jason or somebody like really like where you're gonna be going. It's just like,
Oh, crazy. Yeah, and
oh,
yeah, it's not. It's just
Roy.
Roy.
I didn't
Just
even know it
Roy.
was. I didn't even know his name was Roy. It's just like, oh, it's that dude. Yeah, great.
As weird as, and I used to love playing Roy in the game. He was like one of my favorite people to play because he does some pretty dope kills in the game. Like he has the shears or whatever, like the
Yeah, yeah.
the garden shears, and like there were some sweet kills in the game. Like he like cuts off your head and stuff, like just snips it off. And the thing is, there are scenes though that he has some abnormal strength and kind of and it shouldn't be able to, considering he's just a guy. Like even he does get. I found it funny when he gets hit by the backhoe loader, where like Reggie's driving it and just like slams into him. And I did write down Reggie does scream like a girl. There's one scene that he just like high pitched screams like a little girl, and I'm like, that's fun.
I will say I appreciate when they brought out like that new. I think it was NECA brought it out, that Roy Burns figure. I appreciate the way they made his face, and then like you can like slip the plastic mask.
Yeah, let me see if I have it. I dropped it.
Oh. I love that so much. For anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, Tom is probably going to pull it up now. If he has it there, I actually really want that. To be
Do you
honest,
have this one?
no, I don't. I literally just said that. I was like, I really want that. I don't have that,
Is that
but
fun?
I
There,
really,
there's an antique store and they have like a bunch of cool horror stuff. So I was able to Chelsea would get these things for like my birthday, and like this one is pretty cool. Like he has you can take off the mask and stuff like that, and it's like
and
Roy underneath.
does it? Does it have the little Roy
Yeah,
Burns face?
I've never opened it, and I don't really want to. You know what I
love
mean?
that so. That's like so.
The all the ones that are like in the box, I'll open and look at and like put together just for fun. But these ones, because I have a Freddy
know.
one too, I just
Yeah.
don't want to touch it. It's so like if you know in 50 years, this is gonna be like a fun toy. You know, my kid's gonna get these and he's probably gonna tear them apart. That'll make me sad, but I'm like, these are daddy's toys, okay? These are not your toys. These are daddy's. Does your kid ever want to play with your horror stuff?
Yeah, and I'm like, oof.
These are
Yikes.
expensive toys. Kid.
Yeah, I'm like, yikes, my man. He's like, why do you want them if we can't do anything with them? I was like, because I just want you to get away from them now because my anxiety is through the roof.
That's so funny.
It
This is
must be
such a
so weird
different
for a
one,
kid
man.
like to be like, what's going on with that? Why
I
are
know.
you like so protective over his fucking dumbass toys?
So weird. And it's so funny because you do get like real Jason in clips of the scene, and it's not like a bad looking Jason when he's like hallucinating and seeing him. So it's definitely an interesting, a different take. And it's so funny, even in my notes, I'm like, oh wait, it's just Roy. It's like right at the ending, and you're like, oh, so weird.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. Like I said, I love the idea of it, but I can see where critics and probably fans alike were a bit just like at the end. The whole movie was so good, and there was like so many unique and cool kills, and we
Yes.
had some really cool scenes and set pieces. And then it all just kind of culminates in like, oh, it's that guy?
It's just
All right.
really. So let's break down some of the kills. This is pretty extensive. Machete to the stomach in Tommy's dream. I don't know if that's technically one, but Neil. Les ice pick in the neck in Tommy's dream. I don't know if you can count that, but I guess it's technically it is a kill that you see, right? Joey axe to death. Technically not by the killer, but Vinny road flare in the mouth. Pete throat slashed with a machete. Billy axe to the back of the head. Lana axe to the chest, Raymond hunting knife in the stomach, Tina garden shears in the eyes. That one's also very fun, just because she looks pretty messed up. She's like just naked on the blanket, and it's very bright. So there's some cool. Eddie head crushed with a leather strap against the tree. There's throat slash. Damon spear to the chest through the outhouse wall. That one's fun because that guy. His name is Damon, but it's like it's spelled demon. That he was a fun character. That guy's in like later movie. He's in other stuff too. Like he's a decent actor. He's been in some other stuff. Junior decapitated with a meat cleaver. Junior was a fun character. He's like, the football helmet, the old football helmet from like the 20s. It looks like one of those dudes that, keep his brains in his head because he's so dumb. And Ethel cleaver to the face of the window. It was good to see her die. She bothers me as a character. Another cleaver to the face to Jake. Robin machete through the chest from behind the bed. Violet machete to the stomach. A lot of machete kills. Duke found in an ambulance with sliced throat. Matt railroad spike through the head in a tree. George eyes gouged out, thrown out of a window, of course. And then Roy pseudo Jason impaled by a tractor heron. Harrow. Weird. Tractor harrow? I don't know how you say that. I'm not a farmer. A lot of deaths, a lot of kills, 21 kills, technically, all over.
Which is a lot when you think about it. I'm just looking at some of these kills here. Yeah, that's weird. The spelling on that name.
Yeah. Antia. Sir, I don't know. I can't remember how to.
Anita?
No, it is Anita, yeah.
Anita?
It's funny. It's funny. Some that I will never go away in Strange Brew and now obviously in this show is like pronouncing, especially last names. Or it's just my brain does not want to do it, even though it's like, and then Billy will say it. I'm like, oh, that does make sense. And then I'm over exaggerating the. Yeah, it's so funny.
That happens to me way too much.
I know. It's funny how we both do that. So that's a lot of kills. Like, and I will give this one like. When I give part 4 like a 8.5, this one I'll give like a 7.5 because it is how much I'll watch it and that I do enjoy all of the film. And I will say, even the ending is fun with Tommy coming in and then the chick with the chainsaw. There's a lot of fun things. And that chainsaw scene was actually filmed on Halloween night in 1984. So there are some fun things. And then obviously the worst part of this, in my opinion, is at the end where it's just like, oh, it's Roy. But it is a fun film for what it is.
Like I said, now I love it because I'm like, yeah, it's Roy. So cool. It's nostalgic. But at the time, I know I didn't see it in 1985 or whatever, but I remember the first time I saw it, I was kind of just like, oh, I don't really get who that dude is or where did he come from or
No. And as a kid, I was like, "Where's Jason? Where's my hero? Where's my hero? Okay, where's my boy? Where's my boy?" Yeah, they
Um,
get weirder as they go. Everybody, it's not going to get any better from here.
I just seen something before we, I suppose, cap this off. That they faced budget constraints that supposedly affected the production quality and special effects. I mean, if that was a greatly affected budget, and they felt like the production quality and special effects were, fucked up or whatever because of that, like I would have liked to have seen them get whatever budget they were initially expecting because I feel like that was a pretty good effort.
Yeah, I agree. I would be interested in seeing that and wondering what it would be like. But that's what's within all these movies. Like when we talked about or Nightmare on Elm Street, that there's so many restraints on certain movies, and then it's like it kind of ruins it.
Yeah, yeah. It happens way too much. I'm gonna give this one an 8.5.
Really?
Yeah. Like I had probably way more fun than I should have rewatching this again. Like way too much, like to the point where I'm super jealous of I don't have that mask. I don't have the Roy Barnes figure. I actually don't have anything from A New
Yeah.
Beginning, which makes me like really
Yeah,
like,
look
oh,
for it, man. You gotta find it.
I want something from that movie now.
The mask is pretty cool. I realized that
Yeah.
I must have nicked it because I had it's like I'm like realistically, I don't even know how to fix that, but maybe it's more nostalgic now.
Because I think
Yeah.
if anybody watching the video format of this, we have a picture on screen right now, which is them redesigning the mask. And I remember reading somewhere or hearing somewhere that when they redesigned the mask, they, like Tom mentioned earlier, actually they kind of made it a little bit more flat on the face and kind of rounded it out and made it kind of, I don't want to say abnormally big, but they make it kind of a strange.
They do make it's quite larger than the other one. Like
Yeah.
you can't even tell on the camera, but like it looks really dumb. Like
uh,
it's like so wide.
I don't know, like at the same time I'm looking at it, I'm like, that kind of looks really cool though. I don't know. It's like it has really grown on me over the last couple of years.
I know, and it's just so weird because I remember like seeing it for the first time and being like, I don't really like it, but there's something about just the very like flat look with the blue, and I don't know, it did grow on me, and I remember being really like annoyed as a kid. So it's just so funny how your perspective changes, right?
Yeah, yeah. So we're going with a, what did you give this? A 7?
7.5,
7.5,
maybe a close to an 8.
and I'm giving it 8.5. So I feel like this was a pretty good overall. It was a pretty enjoyable movie for both of us, and definitely
Yeah.
one I would recommend checking out. Kind of want to watch it again, to be honest.
If Reggie's a great character, there's just some good characters within this movie that are not too bad, right? And the weird beginning scene, you kind of get like the dream sequence, and then you get Joey getting axed in the back, which kind of leads up to what it actually is. And that character just drove me nuts. That's
Yeah, overall I do fuck with Roy Burns. I feel like he's a good character. Yeah, and I kind of like that this movie has gained a cult following over the years. There's a lot of people that love it now. So
yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna give it an 8.5. I would push to even say maybe a 9 just from rewatchability because I definitely probably will watch this one more than some of the others.
Yes. And now we're on to part 6, man. Jason Lives. This is not gonna lie, pretty fun one. That remember that guy with the earring? Yeah.
Yikes.
Flamboyant boy. He's a flamboyant boy. Oh, look at that one kill where he like cracks him over.
Yeah.
This
Grim.
is where we have like utility Jason. You know what I mean? He's got he's like he's coming to fix your broken air conditioner. This is a bizarre one, but every one I dig for its own kind of thing. And this is the one in the game where he was like you could put traps out a lot of the times. Like he had a lot of traps that you could use because he kind of is utility Jason. He's got literally a utility belt and he switches it up, you know?
Just so bizarre, and he has like the spear, and
Yeah,
like,
it's very different.
yeah, it is. It's wild, and like, doesn't he has like the shirt tucked into the pants and shit?
Yeah, it's so different, man. It is so different. And his like very dark head, like he's got that very like
Yeah,
like it's weird just because I guess sitting in the grave for so long. And I remember this poster, very nostalgic, as I said, very nostalgic. If I could do a Trump, I would, but I cannot. But very nostalgic. Okay, it's nice. I remember that cover as a kid, and it really pulled me in. I was like, awesome. He lives. He's coming back. Fuck Roy, you know. But even though I liked Roy,
Poor Roy. Roy
Poor
gets
Roy.
shit so
Roy
much.
boy.
Yeah, so we're talking about Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives, released on August 1st, 1986, directed by Tom McLaughlin. Screenplay also by Tom, music again by Harry Manfredini, editing by Bruce Green, produced by Terror Inc. once again, and released by Paramount Pictures. Runtime of 86 minutes, estimated budget at in or around $3 million, and it supposedly made around 19.4 million
It's pretty
at the
good.
box
Pretty good.
in the United States. So before we chat about this, again, another quick plot summary. The
Yep.
film follows Tommy Jarvis, now an adult, who is determined to ensure that Jason Voorhees remains dead. He travels to Jason's grave with his friend Alan to cremate the supernatural undead killer. Jason resumes his murderous spree at a newly renamed Camp Forest Green, formerly Camp Crystal Lake. Tommy must now convince the authorities and locals of the renewed threat and find a way to stop Jason once again.
And it is interesting, right? Because like his mask is so different. Like it changes all the time. It doesn't have the triangles by his eyes like the original one, but they always keep like the cut mark into it. It's so it's like it's still the same mask, really, because he was buried with it, I guess. It really does look that mask. I definitely like Tommy better in this film, kind of. Like, I don't know, there's something about the over exaggerated character that he does play, but I said that it's too bad it couldn't be consistent. But when he's like going to the grave, he's, we gotta find Jason, we're gonna dig him up. He's got, and he's freaking out. He literally goes berserk on Jason's corpse. Like, such a this interesting beginning to how they bring him back. And we see this later on where it's like, oh, they just electrocute him. That's how they bring him back. He's a zombie, and now he's alive because he gets electrocuted. We see that in Jason Takes Manhattan also, and such a weird thing. Just like, he wanted to make sure he was dead, right? And then he brings him back to life. Like, what an idiot.
Yeah, which is kind of weird, but I guess what probably would happen if some dumbass person became obsessed with something like this.
Yes.
Yeah, this one came out to mixed to positive reviews. So it wasn't completely shit on. The critics were some were mixed and some were quite positive about it. Many appreciated the self-referential humor and the return to supernatural elements, which seemed to reinvigorate the series. It has since become a fan favorite, praised for its balance of horror and comedy.
Yeah, it's not too bad. And I did write down, like, I wonder how many ways they thought about bringing Jason back, like how they could do it. And obviously they just figured out that the electricity thing, but I'm pretty sure in the memories on whatever Crystal Lake or whatever that doc, I haven't seen it in a while, but it's long, everybody. It's like 5 hours. But I have watched all the way through it. I think they mentioned that they were like toying over different ways that they could bring him back into the franchise after obviously Roy got destroyed, but I'm sure there was all sorts of different ideas, but electricity, I guess, makes the most sense.
Yeah, I would love to know, like, to see the notebooks or whatever and the list of ideas that they had for that. I will also say, earlier today before we recorded, I listened to the commentary track for this movie, and it's hilarious. The guys that are on it are actually really good, and like, it seems like they're really into it. I think it was recorded for the Scream Factory Friday the 13th box set they done that time, that Blu-ray one. So it's I want to say it's not new, like, but it's more modern within the last like 10 years, whatever.
That's kind of fun. I would.
And you can tell the guys still have fun rewatching it and chatting about it or whatever, which I quite enjoyed. Before we move into the next bit, let's pull up your favorite part of the show yet again. So we have our Jason Lives taglines. Evil lives forever. Not feeling it? Fair enough. If you think it's hard to keep a good man down, try keeping down a bad one.
Oh, that one is awful. That's so bad.
Yeah.
What the hell is wrong with you?
Kill or be killed.
Oh, Billy boy.
That's not the right one.
You ain't fool me, taught me.
Nothing this evil ever dies.
No.
Evil always rises again.
It's not terrible. Could be
And our
worse.
final one is The Nightmare Returns this
Can't,
summer.
they can't. No, they can't use that one. It's terrible.
Terrible.
Oh no,
Well,
I was talking about like that the some of the nostalgic songs that they play within these movies. It
mhm.
was this movie where it's like, I'm a teenage Frankenstein when the guy's in the RV. I was like, this song is pretty dope. I wrote down. So funny.
Yeah, like a lot of use of like hair metal-y kind of stuff.
Yes. Yo, that's so cool. I love some of the behind the scenes with him in the pool. That's awesome.
Yeah. I like that image of him looking at the flames.
Yeah,
with his
that's
back
so
to the
cool.
camera. It's kind of seems like an iconic photograph for some reason.
This one was fun to film, so especially the ending is like so cool, and it's there's some awesome kills in this. Like he literally punches a hole in the one guy's stomach. That's fun, and then the intro, the James Bond intro, is sick. I find that pretty dope. Where he comes into the screen and then cuts it, and then the blood pours down. I thought that was actually really cool, and I really did enjoy that.
Yeah, I feel like that was quite unique, but a lot of people do not like that.
Really?
Yeah, a
Wow.
lot of people do not like that.
This one is definitely like humorous in a lot of ways. Like the body toss with the spear is like hilarious, where he's like,
Oh,
and he
that's
just like tosses him over his shoulder.
so good. Yeah, this marks the resurrection of Jason Voorhees as an undead supernatural entity, setting the tone for all future installments.
Technically, yes.
Director Tom McLaughlin said he drew his inspiration from classic horror films and gothic horror, incorporating elements such as a stormy graveyard and lightning resurrection. Yeah, I could see that. That's a fair point.
Yeah, you think like Frankenstein stuff, obviously coming back from the dead, and then you have obviously the nostalgic old caretaker, the cemetery what do you call that? What the groundsman, the grounds guy, the groundsman. He's like,
Yeah.
he's weird, the guy that's, I liked his character. He's like a drunk and he realizes that all these stupid kids digging up and he reburies the grave.
I actually wrote down in my notes. I was like, is he somehow related to Crazy Ralph or whatever?
Oh yeah, I know that's just like a long lost cousin. It's
Kind of seems like that, right?
And as I said, this is the first time where there's actually kids at the camp, and I think it makes it a fun time.
Yeah. Like we said, $3 million budget, just under 20 million in the box office, kill count of 18, which I'm sure Tom will probably get into shortly.
Yeah.
Tommy Jarvis is the only reoccurring protagonist in the series, played by 3 different actors. Kevin Williamson cited this movie as his inspiration to write Scream in 1996.
Wow, that's pretty wild.
Yeah,
I know it was based. He wrote off an actual like serial killer. I can't remember which one.
Is it the Gainesville?
Yeah, the Gainesville Ripper or whatever. But it is interesting that I think he was like watching this movie and then I feel like he was doing that or something when he wrote it. Or at least the idea.
The first and only film in the series to feature no nudity, also the lowest earning in the franchise.
What?
Although these factors may not be connected.
How do I miss that? That is weird.
There's another strange little fact that ties in. The director of this movie, Tom McLaughlin, was actually offered to direct Scream in 1996, but he turned it down.
Interesting. We'll have to bring this up on our next horror news, which it should be in probably slightly after this. Did you hear? Kevin Williamson is coming back. I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
That's gonna be so different. I agree. I agreed with the people in the post that I was looking at that what's that called? The company that did the last two. Radio something.
Radio Silence.
They did a bad job at hiding their killers. I agreed with that. That's I was just I was outside yesterday watching the 6th one. We're hanging out at I went for a night swim, smoked a cigar. It was a nice time, and I put Scream 6 on, and then I turned it off because it was like they were all hanging out. talking. They had a friend over or whatever. It's just like there's just like just like just stabbing and screaming. So I watched Bad Trip with Eric Andre, which was very funny. Outside because they have a TV outside, so it was a nice, enjoyable night, right? And like, it is fun because I was going to force Chelsea to watch a movie outside, but we didn't get the chance to do so. So I'm like, when we get back from the cottage, I'm going away to a creepy camp. Not really. It's got a hot tub. It's a nice place, but it'll be fun after talking about these to get away at the end of the week and go to like a cabin in the woods by the lake. You know, I would love to do that with friends, and then I would probably dress up like Jason at some point. You know, I'm gonna go and take a pee or something like that. Then I come back.
Give everyone mushrooms, and then
Yes.
you don't take them, and you dress up with Jason.
I'm like the Jason Voorhees Manson, where I'd give everybody acid, but I don't take it, and I manipulate their minds. So it's a good idea. There's so many great parts of this film, though. Like the paintball scene is actually very funny, where you have like all different characters, the nerdy guy that has survived somehow. And I said that would be so much fun to do with your buddies, like especially dressing up like kind of in military fatigue. And actually going out and doing that as like a group, and then you have like your dead bandana. It's a very fun scene. I said I wrote down that I love the guy freaking out about women. Like, you need to go back to the kitchen where she belongs. And he's like so pissed off about her like being like the head corporate person or whatever. And it's a good scene. I like it.
Yeah, I thought that was and like the kills included there are quite
Fun
unique
times.
as well. Yeah, there's a lot of fun kills in this one.
Yeah, I agree. And this is a fun one. You know, and even supposedly the guy Graham, the actor CJ Graham brought a menacing presence to the role, portraying Jason as a relentless and unstoppable force. Yes.
I really need to get that sound, don't I?
Yeah.
It's kind of at that stage now where I definitely need to get that sound. I didn't know that having Alice Cooper contribute songs to the soundtrack was the idea behind it was to like popularize the film among a broader audience, which apparently when they got back whatever, I don't know like how they worked it out back then, but statistics or whatever, it like worked. Having his music in the soundtrack drew in an audience that they
You
wouldn't
see
have had.
this in other movies too, right? Where especially in the 80s.
Such a weird thing though. I don't think I've ever been like if someone said to me, I like Rob Zombie, I like Limp Bizkit, I like this, I like that. But if someone said like there's a horror movie coming out and let's say I wasn't that interested in it, and they were like, yeah, but Rob Zombie has a song in it, I wouldn't be like, oh, let me go see it.
I know, I'd be like, cool. That's cool.
Okay. If I happen to catch it at some point, great. And then if I don't care.
And this is a movie too where you see like Jason he's in a lot of bright scenes. So and you see he's mostly hidden in the darkness in a lot of other movies. And this is like a first one where you really see him like in broad daylight.
Yeah, like that image on screen right now in the center where he's holding the severed arm, like that's broad daylight.
I know, it's interesting to see. It's just such a weird Jason though, man. Like his tight pants and his utility belt, and it's just such a different take on his like costume realistically. But they kept it like almost like the original, but slightly tweaked it. And he's not as big and hulking as he is in some of the other ones. You know what I mean?
How do you feel about the kill with the face on the tree?
I thought that's fun. That's a fun kill.
Yeah.
Some goofy, and it that is a conspiracy symbol, just so everybody knows.
I didn't think you would fuck with that, now, to be honest.
No, you know what it reminds me of, right? What's that? What's that movie? Castaway. He's got
Wilson
on the ball or whatever, which is supposedly a conspiracy theory to do with adrenochrome and them removing the face of a child. So that's fun.
That's fucking weird.
Very weird.
Do you want to run down through the kills? Do you want me to do that?
Yeah, let's run down some of the kills, everybody. Let's do it. Let's get some tension. Okay, first up,
We got Alan. Heart ripped out. I really hope this is. I think this is free copyright use. No copyright. It's no copyright. So no. Everyone stop worrying. Alan. Heart ripped out. Darren. Spear to the groin and stomach tossed aside. Lisbeth. That's a weird name. Spear through the mouth. Nice. Bert. Arm ripped off, thrown into a tree. Nice. Stan and Katie and Larry. Triple decapitation with a machete. That's a very special kill. Everybody. Martin. Broken bottle through the throat. Pretty nice. Steve and Annette. Double impaled with a machete on their motorcycle. Very nice. Nikki, face crushed against the RV wall. Court, hunting knife in the head. Roy, Roy's back, chopped into pieces. Appendages found in trees. Nice. Sissy, that's a fun name. Head ripped off. Paula, hacked with a machete. Officer Thornton, dart in the forehead. Officer Papas, that's his name. Head crushed in Jason's bare hands. Is nice. Sheriff Garris is his name. Bent backwards and broken in half. Pretty nice kill, like it. So weird. I don't know why I chose to do that, but I did. That sheriff pissed me off, but there's some funny things that he says. Like, he's like, you should be careful. You'll be wearing your balls as earrings or whatever to Tommy. But there's something about him where I'm like, I'm surprised they kill him, but then I'm also happy to see him dead. You know what I mean?
And he really got his comeuppance. Yeah.
And there's just some weird, very comedic kills. Like Jason's pulling that chick through the window. There's some weird, I don't know. It goes such a different direction. In this, and you actually have kids in this movie. The little girl has the machete. She's like, I found this bloody machete. It's so weird, but I do like the idea of having the actual kids at camp and how Jason doesn't fuck with them because, they didn't do anything to him. He was one of them at one point, but you think that with his facial deformities that he did have, that you would have kids making fun of him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I knew a girl. Okay. And, sorry, I'm not meaning to disparage anybody. There is obviously people with some pretty wild deformities. At some point, we'll talk about circus sideshow freaks on Stranger Podcast. But there was this chick, and me and my friend used to say she looked like Jason. It was very scary looking little girl. We were in grade 6. She was in our class. I don't know why, but she was there. And she literally had one eye up higher than the other, one eye down, a big amorphous head. She looked like Jason Voorhees. I'm dead serious. It was scary.
Because people would probably give me shit and it'll be I can't believe you're smarting and laughing, but
it's scary. It was scary. I don't know how to describe it. Yeah, people have hardships. That's a very hardship in life. And I remember as a kid, it's so sad. My friend told her to drink Windex at one, and I was like, man, we were in line. And then she was actually, I think it was, she's like, go drink Windex, Elise. And I was like, that's very mean, man. Should probably not say that to somebody. But my friend was a big bully. He was also a broken person, so it hurt people. Hurt people. So
it's very, very true.
So look at Jason, man. He was a hurt little boy that somehow grew into a large man in the middle of the lake, and he was hurt, by people, and he hurt people because he had to try to fill that gap in his heart,
That's when he was floating around down in the bottom of that lake. He said to himself,
what did he say? It's cutting out. No, you gotta say it louder.
Do you know that's happening to your every time you hit something on your roadcaster as well?
Weird, really?
Yeah.
Something
I don't know why
weird's going on.
Yeah, I noticed that earlier when you were pressing things. It was it sounded like it was breaking up with all static.
Weird.
Yeah.
What's going on?
That's fucking weird.
It's very strange.
Weirdo.
I have all this weirdo stuff. It's so weird. There's a lot of dumb ways to die in this movie. Did you like the deputy's gun? When he's got the little laser point on that he loves. He just got that laser scope thing.
What is that? That
I know. It's funny when he points it at Tommy's face. There is funny scenes within this, and Tommy's who's eyes wide and really weird. And he just looks so bizarre, and it's just there's some. I really do enjoy this movie.
Yeah, it is enjoyable. I will give it that. It is enjoyable. There's so many things that are like seem really jarring to me though, where I'm like, okay, what's with the outfit?
I know.
And like that laser thing is the other thing where I'm like, the gun is like this size and the laser looks like a fucking.
Because that's probably what it was like back then, right? It's just like
Oh, that is really out there.
it's so funny because then you get the iconic. I don't know if this is in any other. I think it is. I think it's in the fourth one, but you get the iconic where he's like raising up like he's the Undertaker. Obviously, that you stole that from Jason. But when he's like laying down and then he kind of just gets up without moving his arms or anything, it's just like a straight like folded in half. That's very iconic because you think about it in the game. I don't know how much you play the game, but you have to like tap, but people like keep hitting you down. It used to piss me off when I was Jason. They just keep hitting you down, and you have to like tap to try to get him to like sit up finally.
Am I right in saying in this movie, I'm trying to think here, like pull up the costume again. He wears those kind of yellow or brown like utility glove things.
I don't like that at all.
They're weird. There's a few scenes where he's like grabbing somebody and it really focuses in on those, and I'm like, huh.
And he never had those before. Why did he have those?
It's just really strange. Like it's like he's become like a landscaper or something overnight, and he has like the utility belt and
his costume is, to be honest, probably one of the worst in the whole franchise. And I almost feel my like there might be people like, hey, that's fun or whatever. I just don't. There's something about it where I just don't like it. You know, my favorite by far is probably like part 4, just because that's like the OG Jason. But there's something about his like utility belt. Like you're not Batman, man.
but what's in that? What's
he's got knives.
But
he's got a little like, pocket knife. I don't know.
The explanation, like what is it?
Why did they get? You should Google that. Why did they give Jason a utility belt?
And fucking gloves and like an outdoorsy shirt that he has.
Yeah, and it's not as dirty as you think it'd be, considering he is a literal corpse.
Yeah, it's just very, very strange choice. You know what part of it I wonder is it to do with like budgets and stuff? The sense of okay, if we put gloves on him, then we don't have to do like hand prosthetics or makeup. So that's that figured out. Let's give him like long pants with no tears so we don't have to do any like features on his legs or like rotten flesh. Let's do the same with the shirt. Let's make sure that the shirt is tucked into the gloves so they don't see his arms. Let's make sure he's like nearly covered up to the right up to the neck with the shirt. Like he has the shirt buttoned up to the fucking top.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't fucking like it. Do you think does NECA have a mask of this one?
I would imagine so, yeah.
Look it up, part 6.
Part of me kind of wants the figure with the fucking shitty tool belt thing on
Part
I'm trying to look here. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I feel like I have that somewhere. I don't know if I do, but it looks so familiar. I actually might. I think I do have that figure. Oh no, I don't. I've seen it in the store. I was gonna buy it actually. It was at that same antique store. There, and we'll do an episode about toys. At some point, horror toy. I don't know because I just really want to talk about toys. It sounds like the gayest like little kid thing in the world, but
what is that?
I know what he's got like
red.
I don't like it.
Something inside of the
Jason, I got part 6 tool belt.
Are they like fishing fucking lures or something?
I hope not. Jason's going out in the town. Yeah, it's really weird. Why? Even though I'm looking at some people that are doing like the costume. Here, I'll bring it up on screen. And I don't like it. There's something about it where it's just like, so that must be the NECA mask maybe, but
the tool belt is really jarring.
Like I don't know if I like that. It is like fishing lures.
Oh no.
Why? Why would he have that, man?
Oh, no.
It's not good.
Wait, so like are they trying to make out like, oh, he's like a hunter, like he's out in like the lake fishing?
Yeah, they're supposed to be
survive. So he has to eat now. So now you've ruined the concept of being supernatural. So now he has to go out and like catch fish and like so make them and stuff, which just makes me cringe.
Yeah, I don't really like it. I literally have that knife.
Like you never want to picture any of your favorite like horror villains or anything like having to stop and take a piss or like go and take a dump.
Yeah, I know.
Or do any like mundane things because it just ruins it. Like that's why for me, even in the Halloween franchise, when they had parts where like Michael would drive cars, I'd be like, oh my god, I'm cringing so hard right now. The
I
idea of
know. And to be honest, some of it makes sense why Michael would drive a car, but I don't like it. Like, I think it was number 6 or whatever. Oh, look at this fun figure.
ugh, what that
That's
picture
so,
you went to school with look like.
yeah. Oh yeah. That's what she looked like. I'm not lying. And she barely had any hair. It was
Oh,
like
that makes it
it
worse.
was freaky.
Do you know what is
Actually,
crazy though? Like as a kid, something like that. Like I remember over the course of being a kid, I maybe seen one or two other kids who had stuff like that wrong with them, and I just remember how scared I was about the whole concept. Where I was like, "Jesus Christ, what is going on with you?"
yeah, and because you don't really understand, when somebody does look like this in real life, and it's like what is that a product of? Is it inbreeding? Because that definitely took place. Look at this, man. There's some weird things out there to do with this movie. I want this, bro. I said I wanted a little Jason figure, but I want like Tommy Jarvis Jason. That's fine. I'm gonna get you this for your birthday.
Oh, thanks. Great. Fantastic.
So weird, man. Yeah, the tool belt does bother me. I don't know why. I'm sure there's people that are like, it's fine, but he never had one in prior films, and then all of a sudden now he has a tool belt, and then we don't see it later on at all. And the gloves bug me. I'm looking at pictures of the gloves now, and I'm like, it bothers me, man.
They're very big. It's like those big, like you're gonna like fucking do some forestry or landscaping.
It's so weird.
I know
I
they're
don't
like
know.
welder's gloves or something. I'm like, whoa, those are like
Yeah, the sheriff
really
does kind of
also
kick his
weird.
ass though in the movie though. That's
Did he go
info.
to like the local like general store and be like, okay, right, I need a tool belt, I need some gloves, I need fishing lures.
Yeah, I see someone with the belt and they have like bullets. I'm like, that would be way worse. At least he didn't have a fucking gun.
Oh, could you that's one way to instantly just ruin the entire franchise is to be like, give
Jason
me
just starts like using like a he's got like a AK-47 or something.
Do you know what I'm surprised they haven't actually done? That somebody like in a fan film, maybe it exists already, but somebody hasn't made him kind of like a hunter character, would have given him like a hunting rifle and like more of that like tool belty hunting gear as like his
Yeah,
excuse to survive.
I heard that Craven was really bad. That new movie.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's
I'd imagine.
disappointing. Check this out. So this is what the fishing lures are, which I guess make a little more sense. I think they're like kind of like spears, little
Oh,
spears.
okay.
So
That
I'm like,
okay.
eh.
I don't hate that as much then.
But I just don't understand why he has them. Is my guff, you know? Why?
Yeah.
Why does
It
he
is
need a
very
belt?
like
Jason
see,
doesn't
the
need to pull it,
problem
like
is
keep his pants up.
when you do this to an existing horror character or a franchise, right? And you try to like reinvent the wheel and give him a new costume or a new look, you've got to expect that the fans love these characters so much that they're going to ask the question. I know to whoever was coming up with this idea back in the 80s or whatever was probably like, look, we'll just give him a tool belt, we'll give him some fishing lure dart things, we'll give him a spear, we'll give him some cool gloves and a shirt, and like nobody's gonna care because Jason's back. Not
I know.
realizing like a lot of the hardcore audience are gonna be like, now I want an explanation for why. Why does he have
I
this
know.
shit?
It's so weird. Remind me at the end of the film, or at end of the film, end of this deep dive. I'm gonna bring up the different faces of Jason, and we'll pick which
Oh
one
yeah.
we like the best.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea.
So we'll
Uh,
do that near the end. But
so out of 10 bloody fishing lure darts, what are you giving this one?
I have to try to be critical because I do love these movies. The ending is pretty dope. With Tommy and the gasoline, like I find that is an enjoyable ending.
Mhm.
Um, Chick does a terrible. Oh, I was like, what did I write down? Oh, that girl that tries to save Tommy, she literally does a belly flop when she jumps in the pool to save him. It's actually very funny that they didn't change that because she literally just jumps and goes like right flat on the water. And then there's some cool scenes, when Tommy's like, "Come on, maggot head," and he's gonna he has this whole elaborate plan, and then Jason just slowly walks in the water and disappears. Like the ending is very fun. They put a lot of time and effort and effects into doing it, especially even adding the fire. They could have went a little more cheap, and I think it was enjoyable. But I do give it. This is a fun movie. And you got the propeller snapping his neck. It's pretty brutal. I think there's some cool things about this. That's why I'll give it. I'll give it. I'll give it an. I can't. I'll give it an 8. Even though I was gonna say part 5 I enjoy more, but this is realistically this is more of a fun movie. You know that you could hang out with your friends and it's just kind of goofy and fun. It would be a good movie to watch outside by the fire with your homies. You know, it's a fun one out of the franchise. I'll say that. And
I'm gonna
goofy.
go. I'm gonna go slightly lower on this one from the last time. I'm gonna go to 7.5. Still like relatively high, I think, but
Yeah.
just a little bit shy of my boy Roy Burns.
my boy Roy.
Yeah,
I wonder if there's someone out there that just loves Roy way more than Jason. Just wants to see nothing but Roy.
we want Roy. We want Roy.
He comes back from the dead. He's got all the spike holes through him and stuff.
And kills the
weird.
actual Jason. I'm gonna make a fan movie where I resurrect Roy Burns.
Yeah, and he kicks the living shit out of Jason.
Yeah,
like
what I'm
Busta
gonna do
Rhymes in
is
Halloween.
my movie is gonna start with Jason comes back, he starts killing people again, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, what are we gonna do? We've tried everything to defeat Jason, man." And then I'm gonna go, I know what to do, and then I'm gonna resurrect Roy Burns.
How are you gonna resurrect him?
He's gonna come back, and then I'm gonna get my dog to piss on him.
Oh yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah,
terrible way to bring back Freddy Krueger. So bad.
And gonna bring back Roy Burns, and then he's gonna team up with us, and he's gonna kill Jason for us, like Freddy versus Jason.
That's a great idea. Let's market that.
Let's see. Does anyone want to bankroll that?
What would you call it? The Return of Roy Boy. So weird.
Friday the 13th part. What fucking part is it at this stage?
Be 11 or something. Bring this up on screen.
Friday the 13th part 11. Jesus, I don't know.
Whoa! we're in a portal. Let me. Sorry,
that could have been really bad if I was looking at fucking Tom's spread ass.
It's so weird. Here, let's re-bring that up because that was not good.
Jesus.
I don't know what happened. Why is it's not letting me bring up
this? Have your nudes up on screen.
It's so weird. Here, bring it up now. There you go. You should get this action figure. Look at Roy's face, man.
I want that so much, man. That's all I can think about is that. I want
$40, man. $40 on Wish. So I don't know what it's gonna look like when it comes. So
do you know what I really wanted to do one time and I thought it'd be really funny content, but it can only happen if you, the fans, help out. Where we were to like say buy like in bulk, buy like a box of horror collectibles from like Wish or somewhere.
Yeah, just see what they look like
and have them shipped to each of us, like different things, and then open them on like a live stream or whatever, and like review them as we open them.
I think that'd be very funny.
You imagine like some of them terrible like Jason masks or like Michael Myers masks and figures and stuff.
I'm trying to look up some right now. I can't really find any because I was trying to look up like just the ones that were obviously marketed, and I can't really find too many actually. A lot of them are actually dope looking, not gonna lie. The only one that's kind of weird is Roy.
Poor Roy.
Man, why do we have toys and we're adults? That's not good, man.
I know, yeah, it's fucking weird, right?
Oh man. All right, so we on to the next.
Me that old dude in fucking at the start of House of a Thousand Corpses where they're like talking about he's like, they're talking about some weirdo, and he's like, yeah, they found him with a Planet Apes doll stuck up his asshole.
yeah. So weird, man. That's so funny.
Okay, so we're moving on to the sequel to this, which is part 7, The New Blood.
The New Blood, man. We're back. We're here. We're what Jason Voorhees. This is they get weirder as they go, not gonna lie.
Released on May 13th, 1988, directed by John Carl Buechler, I think. No idea.
Buechler.
Music once again by Harry Manfredini.
And that guy's in all of these. This one's
Pro-
definitely more 80s.
Produced and distributed by Paramount Pictures this time. Runtime of 88 minutes, estimated budget of 2.8 million, and made approximately 19.1 million at the box office. So they're making around the same amount of money every time they release, which is probably quite good back in the 80s, considering they're releasing these every like 12 months.
Yeah, this is, and Jason's got a pretty, not gonna lie, pretty dope costume in this one.
Yeah,
There's
this
some
is more
cool
like
art.
kind of what I feel like I would picture him to look like.
Yeah,
In
after being in the
clothes and
grave
shit.
for so long.
Yeah, he looked like a piece of shit. Like,
Oh yeah, it's so weird. Do you have the poster of this movie?
I'm not sure actually.
I can bring it up if you need me to.
Yeah, do because I'm not sure if I
It's
have it.
like this is like, I don't know, all of them are, they stick out to me as a kid, right? And I thought this poster was pretty cool. It is definitely unique in some ways, and I remember seeing this as a kid,
Yeah,
right? And I was like, that's cool. Who's this girl? You know what I mean? It's a pretty cool. A lot of the posters, other than 5, like there's different um covers of the movie, but part 5 is definitely the weakest, where it's just like this mask with the eyes lit up. But this is a cool design, I think, and different. And you were like, what is this one about? Everyone was so nostalgic to me, and so like I was always so excited to watch these, which is such a, if you don't understand the love for it, it's so, I don't know. I just remember like being so excited to see these movies, and especially the cover just always like drew me in, right?
for
Different
people who
times.
don't know, then let's give them a quick plot summary. So, the film introduces Tina Shepard, a teenager with powerful telekinetic abilities, who accidentally kills her abusive father at Crystal Lake. Years later, Tina returns to the lake with her mother and doctor to face her trauma. Her telekinetic powers unintentionally resurrect Jason Voorhees, who was previously chained at the bottom of the lake by Tommy Jarvis. Jason embarks on another killing spree, and Tina must use her psychic abilities to stop it. Now, I will say that
She
plot,
kills her abusive father, and then the father comes out to help her. What?
and he looks like fucking, I don't know, some weird like extra off of like Pirates of the Caribbean or something. It's awful.
It's so bad. Why? Why, man? And of course, they have that dumb montage at the beginning, and then that narrator, like, who is that guy? And then he's like, people forget he's down there sometimes. He's down there. Sometimes they forget that he's down there. He's waiting. He's waiting there. And it's just weird that this weird narration montage. I could not. That could have gone. I didn't need that. I've seen the other movies.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, and I feel like every time they do that, it's like I don't know, it's like they're trying to appeal to a whole new audience again or something by
I
doing
know.
that. So it's like we have to give this exposition again
Even though it's
because
been a year or
yeah,
whatever.
like this has it really gone that stale in 12 fucking months? And has anybody who is gonna see this never heard of Friday the 13th before this at this point? Surely not, like.
I know. Jason would be so pruny down there, though. You know.
Yeah. Wonder
Like,
what his wiener would be like.
it's falling off.
Actually, though, would it not from him being like down underwater like that, would it not end up blowing up and be like a big fucking like grapefruit?
I know all the water. So gross. I was gonna say, like, do you think he has like the so I'm like, how do I say this? The big retard wiener. So bad. Sorry, everybody, but it's bad. But you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
probably.
so
It's like a
I'm
baby's
glad we
arm
never
holding
got
an
that,
apple.
but I'm guaranteed there is a Friday 13th porno out there.
There's an image for everybody now. A baby's arm holding an apple.
So weird. All right, and if you guys are, I cannot bring that up on screen. I'll try. How do I bring this up on screen without the rest of the things that are like showing up? It's very weird.
Oh,
I just,
yeah.
oh wow. I guess can I put I can't put it over.
This
Damn.
actually marks the first time that Kane Hodder played Jason Voorhees.
Yeah. So if you guys are wondering and you're bored tonight, check this out. By Zero Tolerance. It is the official Friday 13th
Is it
parody
safe?
porn.
Is it
There's
safe to bring up on screen?
Yes, it is safe. It's safe. There you go. The thing behind it is not safe. That's why I clicked on the image. But yeah, this is if you're wondering, Oh no, now I'm getting pop-ups. This is not good.
Get rid of it.
Yeah, I could not bring up the Google search of that because there is a bunch of cartoon boobies. This is so weird. It's just the things that people will do, man. The things that people do is so weird, and I don't understand it. Okay, you have to bring up this on screen.
Okay.
What is that? That's
Really?
on Pornhub, man. Okay, get it off the screen now, because if I click away, it's gonna show us stuff.
Oh god, yeah. Sick.
Whoa, what the fuck? It's the weirdest shit, man, that people do. It's really muscular Jason naked with a huge wang. This is, man, some of the shit that people do. I don't understand it. I don't know why they think it's necessary to create like everything. What's that thing? It's like Rule 34, where it's like if there's a porno, if there's a thing, somebody's made a porno about it. Oh man, why did I Google this?
I know, yeah. I done it as well. You've been talking about it so much now.
Did you see that one of Jason?
Yeah, I can see even you have the shared screen thing down at the bottom, and I can still kind of see it.
This one is so gross. What the fuck,
Like,
man?
what in the fuck? So if
People
anybody
are
wants to be
psychotic.
scared, go and check that out.
Just Google Friday 13th porn. You'll have an enjoyable time. So weird.
Yeah, like I said, this is the
Get
first time
into this.
Kane Hodder plays Jason Voorhees. This
Yeah.
movie received yet again mixed reviews. Critics
course it did.
praised Kane Hodder's performance as Jason and the film's unique twist with the introduction of a telekinetic protagonist. However,
He's
it
a
was
better
also-
Jason, that's for sure. I would agree.
Yeah. However, this movie was also criticized for its lack of character development and the heavy censorship that diluted the gore and violence.
Well,
Yeah.
it definitely did, and so it's the Jason versus Carrie concept was a very last minute pitch, I guess. Following the Friday 13th part 6, Jason Lives, as you have up on screen, Paramount began negotiating with New Line Cinema for a crossover film with A Nightmare on Elm Street, Killer Freddy Krueger, which eventually we did get. When negotiations for that fell through, the studio chose to produce a new Friday 13th sequel, instead associated with Barbara Sachs envisioned a new movie inspired by Jaws about land developer building condos to sell at Crystal Lake, covering up Jason's murder sprees, making profit, which would have been actually clever. Can you pull off Jason Lives off the screen and put out the actual poster of this movie?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And then, although Sachs was hopeful for a movie would win an Academy Award, weird, hired screenwriter Daryl Hanney wanted to do something different. After pitching several ideas, Sachs turned it down, and then Henry's final concept captured her attention. There was always a teenage girl who was left to battle Jason by herself. Usually, yes, this women were for somehow a lot stronger than the men when it come to how long they survived. And Haney recalls in Peter M. Brack's Crystal Lake Memories, what if the girl had telekinesis powers or telekinetic powers? Intrigued the premise. It is interesting because that's what I say would be a clever idea of doing it nowadays is, maybe at Crystal Camp Lake now there's a bunch of, what's that called? I said it where people rent out their stuff, rent out their house. What's that called again? You know what I'm talking about.
Airbnb.
Airbnb, like kind of like very, rich people in their condo. That's interesting that they actually had that idea. I didn't know that. And I think it would have probably made a better movie. Maybe.
Yeah.
She wanted to win an Academy Award.
Something I'm noticing reoccurring as well, if you listen to commentaries, if you've read any books about these movies, if you even just do a quick Google search, the director and a lot of like the team in every movie mention budget constraints and like trimming of funds, which is kind of mad when you think about it. Like it's in the 80s, right? You're releasing one of these every 12 months. You're expecting it to be turned around and ready, shot, edited, everything done within 12 months and ready to go. You're making 20, 30, 40, 50 million off of one movie, and like through gritted teeth they're giving these people like $2 million barely.
I know. And you're gonna make your money.
It's just really odd, like that they can't, that they couldn't commit to anything. It always seems to like stick around like 2 to 3 million max, and then they give them 3 million, and then by the time the shoot is happening, it's like, well, no, it's like 2.5 or it's like 2.2 or actually no, it's like 1.8. It's like, why are you doing that though? You know you're going to make a shit ton of money. What's the problem? Like, are you
I know.
trying to completely dilute the franchise altogether, make it garbage, and then you make no money? Because
Exactly. I
there's a
know.
lot of people saying that a lot of the executives in Paramount and stuff didn't really like horror or the idea of like Paramount having one of their like, 10 like flagship movie series being a horror franchise, especially one like Friday the 13th. So some people reckon, I don't know if it's like a conspiracy or whatever, but there was a group of these executives who purposely tried to like sabotage the budgets and stuff to make the movies fail. So they could be like, see, look, we need to take it off the slate. It's garbage. No one wants to see it.
Weird. Who knows, right? That's quite a possible thing, right? Like makes
Just-
but it's so weird. Then give it up then.
It's yeah.
Sell it to United Line Cinema and we'll see how garbage it gets going there. You know what I mean? Like realistically, you know how it's shitting on the narrator? You know who the narrator was? It was Crazy Ralph. Isn't
Yeah.
that weird? I did not know that. So weird. I was like, I guess it's kind of fun, I guess.
Yeah, but again, same 2.7 million budget
Yeah,
apparently,
triple.
made 19.1 million. A little bit of a lower kill count in this one at 16.
Yeah,
Obviously,
well, I'll get to it later.
narrator of the opening is Walt Gorney, who played Crazy Ralph in previous films. Originally, was supposed to
I
play
didn't know
Freddy
that.
versus Jason. However, the studio could not reach a deal, and the story was reworked. Movie serves as the longest Jason appears on screen unmasked.
Yeah, not bad.
Hopes of seeing an uncut version were dashed when it was revealed the studio had all footage destroyed. All that remains is bootleg work prints in extremely low qualities.
Why, man? Oh, I hate
No.
these studios.
I
Hate it.
can't understand. Like, do you not like money?
I know it's so weird, dude.
Think about, right, all the things that we like from back in this era that you could sell to, like we just talked about a few minutes ago. We both owned plastic toys from movies like this.
Yeah.
So like you can sell me on these unrated versions of movies. Like if someone told me that they were able to re-release all these movies and it included the fully like unrated versions of all the kills, all the nudity, all the everything, and added all that to it,
Yeah.
I'm gonna want to see that.
I know. And there's so many movies like that too, where it's like they cut so much stuff from it. But one thing like Jason is a killing machine in this movie. I do dig that. And you finally get the sleeping bag kill. It's only a one clock to the tree, but he did swing a chick in a sleeping bag at a tree. And then obviously once we eventually, just after this, get Jason X, where he furiously beats chicks off of trees. It's so weird, right? Such a I don't know. And I don't know, we might release it for a little, but there is things within Jason Goes to Hell that are like kind of similar of them like reaching and trying to like do something different, and it does not pan out, and it's kind of terrible.
So I do love some of the kills in this, though, to be fair.
Do you like the mom's haircut? Do you love that haircut that she has?
I don't know if I don't think I have it though.
I'll see if I can bring it up. It's like it's such a nostalgic 80s cut, and I'm like, why do they have look at this shit, man? Why? There we go. Why? It's such a bizarre, such a different time. You don't see any. Well, actually, there was one lady that we live next door to, and she did not let the 80s go, and she had this exact same haircut. And we're even like me and Chelsea were like, man, she needs to let that go.
Do you know what's even
Let it
scarier?
go.
You've seen it like when chicks, like you said, like that woman you're talking about that won't let it go, right?
Yeah,
And
it's so weird.
they probably had that haircut back then where it's kind of longer at the back, but now they've progressed into like the modern day version where they still have that hair on the top, but then they cut the rest of it short.
Oh man, it looks like a mullet, man.
And it's like this weird fucking like parting thing here.
It's
where
so
it's
weird.
awful.
What was it? I don't. What was with the 80s and big hair? Like, it's such a weird thing.
Yeah, not really for me. Depends.
I do not really get why the dad comes back and kills Jason.
Yeah, it's a bit
It's
strange.
the stupidest thing. 'Cause I saw an image of him. I'm like, so dumb, man.
Do any of these taglines tickle your fancy? Her mind awoke Jason from the dead.
That's it.
Yep.
No.
On Friday the 13th, Jason is back, but this time he's met his match.
Oh, that's cute. They're gonna go on a date.
Terrible.
Matchmaker in hell.
On Friday the 13th, Jason will meet his match. Terrible. Jason is back, but this time someone's waiting. Terrible.
Terrible.
And then on Friday the 13th, Jason's back. This time, oh my god! Like
So bad.
they're the worst I think we've had in a while.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. All these were garbage. I will say
Yeah,
that. Or
they were.
piles of
They-
garbage.
They were garbage. There's the dad.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
looks like he looks
So
like
weird.
fucking one of like Davy Jones's henchmen from Pirates of
I
the Caribbean.
know. I just don't understand why she killed him because he was abusive, and then he comes back to save her somehow.
But it's really like I don't really get it the way there's parts in the movie where she's like talking to the mother character.
Creepy.
Whatever.
Oh,
She's
it's
like,
just a creepy
"Oh,
therapist.
mom, I miss him so much."
I know, but what
And I'm
did
like,
she kill him for being?
Didn't you say like isn't he some big abusive dickhead? And we have that weird scene. Remember where she's like before he dies, and like it has like I'm assuming it's supposed to be the mother. She's like, I wish you'd stop drinking, or you can't drink anymore, or something like that. He's like, you don't tell me what to do, and then
Yeah.
I'm
See,
like,
and
yeah.
then it's just weird that he's a savior at the end.
Also, I don't know if you know, but they reference the dude. See the way the face is split
Oh yeah.
on that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he is referenced by like the crew or whatever as the coochie cut face.
Oh, that's really funny. Weird. It's kind of gross though to begin with.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit gross.
There is some fun kills like that. The noisemaker to the face is a weird one. You know, and I'm really bothered by the nerdy chick. There's something about her that I want her to die. The one that like does the makeover and like he's trying to get laid or whatever, and it's just like there's something about her. And I remember this when I watched it as a kid that I just like did not like her. Something about her reminded me of somebody I knew or something, and I was like, just don't like it. The party
Yeah,
scene's kind of fun. I'm glad she died.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, there's actually quite a few like cool scenes. To be fair,
Do you remember when the doctor sacrifices the mom, like the asshole that he is?
do you know what?
He
Right,
holds her in front of him.
I kind of like that though because you've got to lean into like whatever the character is supposed to be, and like
Yeah.
at that point they kind of showed him to be some weird, like kind of creepy, like leech kind of a
Yes,
character.
taking
And I'm like,
advantage.
you know what? That's exactly what he would do if I was that guy and I behaved like him. The first thing I would do would be like, hey, I'm gonna use her as a human shield.
I know, it's so weird. And there's a like the practical effects are pretty decent in this. Jason's makeup is pretty awesome. Like he's now developed as this grungy looking character from the depths of the lake. So I do think that is pretty fun. And there's some cool kills. This is definitely a different one. I'll say that I even like the psychic showdown at the end when she's like throwing nails at him and doing and like doing like crushing the mask into his face and it splits open. Like there is some fun
Or
stuff to do with it.
when the straps are going into the back of his head.
Yeah, there's some cool
So, like,
practical
shit, like,
effects.
oozing out of his head.
Yeah,
I'm
the
like, this
goo.
is fucking rancid. There is a really weird bit, and I don't know why I wrote it down and it stood out to me. After the doctor guy or whatever, therapist or whatever, when he sacrifices the mom and whatever, and
Hairdo.
yeah, and then after a while, doesn't the main chick come across him in the woods?
Yeah, I think so.
Well,
Well,
it's weird. She walks on camera, right, from like from right to left. And as she walks, he's just in the background, right? And there's like some trees. I'm assuming, I don't know if they're like fake trees or whatever. They put extra trees in, and like they have no leaves or anything on the trees or anything like that. But there's like two branches that are like this, and he's literally just standing.
I know.
He waits for her to pass by, and then he's going like, hey, doing all this. And I'm like,
Yeah,
wow,
I
that was
know.
like incredibly cringy. It's like a stage play.
There's definitely some weak scenes in this, and it's just that's so weird. And then it's just fine that Jason, like he always kind of does this throughout films. Like there's some different ones, when he has the bodies in the cabin in I think the third one or second one. But then this one, he like displays his work. I said it's funny how he's like, look over here, look at, she's in a tree, she's cut in half, like whatever it is, and he's just like, look at my work, everybody, you like it? And it's like all in the same spot. Like he took his time to drag the bodies there, set them up elaborately, like he's some sort of serial killer that's like showing off his work to the police. Like look at this. I'm fancy.
I kind of like how aggressive he is as well.
Yes, that's why I said he's pretty brutal in this, and
Yeah.
I do enjoy. Do you want to go through some? Do you want me to go through some of the kills?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
So we got John Shepard drowned in Crystal Lake. Yes, we do. Jane, 10 spike to the neck, impaled to a tree. Michael, 10 spike thrown at his back, into his back. Dan, Jason's punched through the chest and neck broken. Yes. Judy, slammed against a tree in her sleeping bag. Thank God Judy's dead. Russell, axe swing to the face. Sandra pulled underwater and drowned. Maddie, she had that scythe through the neck. That was pretty fun. Ben, head crushed in Jason's bare hands. Kate, party horn in the eye. David, butcher knife to the stomach, beheaded off screen. Eddie, throat slice with a machete. Robin, thrown through a window. Amanda Shepard, impaled through the chest from behind with a brush hook. Nice, whatever that is. Dr. Cruz, tree trimming saw to the stomach. Melissa, axe to the face. Nice.
Melissa axe to the face, and doesn't she? Is this the one where he kill a chick and then he like fucks her across the room?
Like tosses her?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. Because there's some really goofy ones like that are just like.
I don't remember if it's. I just remember there's one of them and it really stuck out to me where I was like, whoever done whatever chick done the stunt for that really sold being thrown because like. She doesn't put her hands out in front of her. I think she flies with her hands by her side and just flies head first across the room.
Like she's with a Superman from the 80s where he's
I was like, that is fucking unbelievable. I love that.
So weird. I will give this one. I'm not gonna lie, like I do enjoy this one, but it is, and I do enjoy the Jason's hard, man, because I want to be kind of critical. I'll give it like a 6.8 because there is some really goofy, like.
Probably go with 6.5 maybe.
Yeah, there's a stretch in a lot of the stuff in this of what they're trying to pull off.
Yeah, I feel like that's a pretty fair. I feel like that's a pretty fair score, like 6.5, 6.8, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to the final part of this second part of the deep dive, and maybe one of the most bizarre.
Yeah. I remember exactly where I was when I watched this.
Yeah, this one was. I remember when I heard about this, I was like, "Wait a second, what? What is this?"
But the poster is so dope, though, and he's not even in New York. But the like, see, this one is the one I really remember. Like, it's every poster has always been nostalgic to me. I remember like where I was. Pull this up on screen quick. Is just this look was just such a cool poster.
So
it was
cool.
so sweet, man. And I remember where I was.
Even the I Love NY one.
Oh yeah, so cool.
Like just anything like that, I'm sold instantly. Didn't Scream there recently like kind of stole that? Yeah, they copied it.
Yeah. Very he's definitely got the worst face in this one. We'll bring that up later, but
like
yeah. Yeah, get into it, but I remember when I was with this kid Ben. I remember being in his apartment building where he's living at his dad's, and we rented this. Or I think his dad actually had this movie because we were gonna watch Hamburger Hill. When I was a kid, for some reason, I thought Hamburger Hill was about a hamburger that killed people. I was like very young. I was like 10. I swear, and it was a war movie, and we stopped it instantly. And then we realized that we had Jason Takes Manhattan. I can remember. I think we might have rented it. I do. We did. We went to Rogers Video. And we rented Jason Takes Manhattan. I was very excited. I was like 10. First time he's sleeping over at this kid's house. And then I remember we put it in and I enjoyed it for what it was. Cause at least Jason looks pretty gnarly. There's obviously some very disappointing things within this, but he looks pretty cool. I do like the character look of him, and there is some fun kills in this, but it is, rewatching it. I was kind of more disappointed than I thought I would be in some
Yeah.
ways.
It's a strange one. So yeah, we're talking about Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Released on July 28th, 1989, directed by Robert Hedden. Produced and distributed by Paramount. This time a longer runtime, actually, of 100 minutes.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Estimated budget $5 million apparently, and it only made 14.3 million at the box office. Plot summary: the film follows a group of high school graduates on a cruise ship bound for New York City. Jason Voorhees, resurrected once again, boards the ship and begins a killing spree. The survivors eventually reach Manhattan, where the final showdown with Jason takes place in the urban environment. This film shifts from the usual camp and forest settings to the
Yeah, it's so
bustling
different.
streets and underground sewers of New York City.
Cue 80s music. You know what I mean? Like it's definitely like very 80s. Did you know that Tina almost returned? Did you know that? The New Blood established Lar Parker Lincoln's Tina Shepard as Jason's new nemesis. Using the powers of her mind with the help of her molesting dad, Tina banishes Jason back to the bottom of the lake following him massacring her friends. Pleased with how the New Blood turned out, I guess, director John Carl Belcher, whatever his name was, began to develop a sequel which would bring back Lincoln as Tina, the character released from an insane asylum. Additionally, Tina herself and Lincoln had co-wrote an alternative screenplay. That's pretty interesting, which brought her back. With Tina now working as a psychologist, another potential script was written by Kevin Sprittes, who played surviving character Nick in New Blood. That's interesting. His idea was for Nick to be the killer in the next Friday the 13th movie, revealing the events of New Blood to be a dream. That sounds terrible. That sounds actually worse than what this was, not gonna lie.
Yeah, actually.
I'm glad that didn't happen because I feel like it would have been terrible. The low budget, limited Jason's time in Manhattan. You can get into that if you want because that's funny.
Here we go. Actually, this might have some better taglines this time around. I love NY. Okay, is that even a tagline?
No, yeah.
The city that has seen it all ain't seen nothing yet.
It's really bad.
The biggest city in the world is about to be scared down to size.
That's trying to be clever, but there's something missing about it. I don't know.
Life in the city is murder.
And it's okay. It's okay.
New York has a new problem.
No.
The Big Apple's in big trouble.
Kind of like that. That's fun.
Yeah, that's probably the best of a bad bunch there, to be
So
honest.
weird, man.
Also, just some extra trivia. We already talked about the budget of 5 million, box office of just over 14. This one comes in at a little bit of a higher kill count at 19.
Yeah.
Rob
I'll get into
Hedden
that later.
had written more of the movie in New York City, scenes in Madison Square Garden, on the Brooklyn Bridge, Statue of Liberty, and Empire State Building, but the budget didn't allow any of this. At 100 minutes, it has the longest runtime in the series. The poor performance at the box office led to Paramount selling the rights to New Line Cinema. The original script had Jason being melted by the toxic waste and his soul being released. This was changed to allow for sequels.
Dude, this would have been way better if they actually like took the time to actually put him more in New York because on paper, the concept of Jason Takes Manhattan seems pretty exciting. His mayhem always has been limited to rural areas around Crystal Camp Lake in previous movies. Having him venture through a big city would certainly be new for the franchise, if nothing else. However, it seemed Jason's time in the Big Apple isn't very long, as the bulk of the sequel scene time is spent in a cruise ship. So what gives? Well, writer-director Rob Hedden, whatever his name is, had every intention on using Manhattan setting to be the fullest when he drafted the original screenplay. Everything about New York was going to be completely exploited and milked. He described that there was going to be a tremendous scene on the Brooklyn Bridge, a boxing match in Madison Square Garden. Jason would go through a department stores. He would go through Times Square. He would go into a Broadway play. He'd even crawl on top of the Statue of Liberty and dive off. That does not sound like that would have went well. Don't know why. They would have.
I just picture him like fucking
swan diving?
remember. No, do you remember how bad the graphics were? Remember in Superman 4, I think it was, A Quest for Peace. Superman was against that other guy that Gene Hackman had. He had like long
remember.
blonde hair.
Yeah.
Oh no, hold on. No, we have to get this up.
Yeah, so unfortunately, these ideas were too expensive in practice, and Paramount wasn't willing to foot the bill for the extravagant scenes. This could have been so cool, man. It could have been so cool. It could have been so much fucking better. Why do they? I don't know, man. Fucking Paramount, man.
It is strange how they do that stuff, though, right?
You know what I'm saying? It's terrible.
I know, it's just so weird to me. Like that idea of being on top of the Statue of Liberty and jumping off. I'm like,
what are you trying to bring up? What did you need to show me?
I'm just getting it, while I'm talking. But like whoever, and I don't care if it was back in the 80s, whenever it was, like anybody would say that and go, that sounds like a really good idea.
Having him run through the Statue of Liberty and chase them up it and then toss somebody off, maybe, but him doing like some sort of swan dive or something off it doesn't make sense. I don't know why you'd have that. Like, why would he dive off of it? Unless somebody kicked him off or something.
But even at that, like, it's like, what he's just going to fly down, like, smash off the ground and be okay, or
I don't know. It bothers me, but everything else sounds pretty cool. The boxing match in Times Square and having him kind of go through that and busting into a Broadway play. All right. You should make sure it's muted so we don't get copyright.
Look at that shit. Like, it's just so bad. Everything about it.
Very weird, man. Oh,
like,
man.
So awful.
Some of the funnest movies to watch are the trashiest ones. So look at how terrible the graphics are. Isn't he like all broken now? He's a very broken person. Or is he dead?
Christopher Reeves. Yeah. Didn't he had an accident. He fell off a horse or something. Didn't he? Like
Parkinson's or something? No, that's the other guy. Something bad happened to him. He looked rough. Let's just say that. You remember the guy from the Superman show? Now we gotta get back into Jason. Remember that one guy he played like on the Superman show? So weird. The curly Q, it was so bad, man. Some of those movie shows, they really tried to milk that whole thing. Not a fan of Superman, not gonna lie. I think Batman should have kicked his ass more.
52. Huh.
I love Ben Affleck's Batman, and everyone can shit on me, but best Batman ever. Real Batman. That's Batman. Looks like Batman, acts like Batman. He is Batman. What's that guy? Christopher Bale? Chris. What's that guy? Some Bale?
Christian Bale?
Christian Bale. He was the worst Batman. Good movies, worst Batman. Skinny Batman, don't like it. Neck cowl, weird head, I don't like it. Not my thing. No, skinny Batman, get out of here.
You know that them original Superman movies with Christopher Reeve in them, like those ones we were watching, they were making like $300 million.
I'm sure they were. People love those, and worst graphics ever. So weird.
Yeah, he had some equestrian accident.
Weird.
Something
bad happened.
Yeah, he fell off the horse and he was holding onto the reins. His hands became tangled in him and shit was pulled off the horse. He landed head first on the far side of the fence, shattering his first and second vertebra, resulting in cervical spinal injury, paralyzing him from the neck down and halting his breathing.
That's sad, man. It's crazy. Why did God do that to him? You know what I mean?
Grim.
It's very weird. God is comical in some ways, And what I find bothers me? It's fucking weird. The boy that they show drowning is like a normal kid. He has no deformities at all. It doesn't even make sense. Well, we can't spend money on makeup today. It's like, it's so weird.
And
then later
seeing him in the cruise ship or whatever, and to see him out through, the like circular windows.
Yeah,
but he's like
It's so weird. So many bad things. Why is she seeing visions of him as a kid too? There's so many bad script writing within this one, and I notice it more and more now. There is some scenes I love. Look at that face, man.
I know. Like, how is that even real? Like, at all?
I know. We're gonna go with the electrocution again to bring him back from the dead, and it's such a cheap way of doing it. Oh no, the guy, the boat, it's just he puts down the anchor, and then somehow electricity runs through the anchor, and then it's so man cheesy. And the first two kills are weak as
Not great. This movie received largely negative reviews, as you can imagine, from
I'm
critics.
sure.
It was criticized for its misleading title.
Yes.
As much of the film takes place on a boat rather than in Manhattan, fans also lamented the toned-down violence and lack of iconic New York landmarks. However, it has gained a cult following for its unique setting and some memorable scenes. I feel
Yeah.
like when he kicks over the fucking thing in Times Square, that's
Very
quite memorable.
Yeah, that's and then he shows his face to them, and they're like, "Oh, what does the kid say?" I have it somewhere here. You're dead meat, slime box. And then he's like, "Oh no, never mind, man. You're fine. Get out of here." You know what I mean? And they like run away. There are some iconic scenes, but it's also disappointing. And there's weird stuff like, where does he get the mask from? The kid, he somehow has the mask and it has the cut in it. You know what I mean? When he like.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so weird, and the face is so one of the worst. They definitely do a cheap way of filming this, man. And then you got that chick that looks like a hot version of Joey Ramone. So weird.
It's I know there's a lot of like strange things about this. I'm not sure like where the idea came from. I don't like. Would that have been a good idea even back then? Like if somebody had said to you the idea of Jason Takes Manhattan, I don't know. I think if you told me there and then, right, we're going to make a movie called Jason Takes Manhattan, but we're not actually really going to be in Manhattan at all.
I know.
I'd be like, well, then there's no point. Let's just not do it. Let's just do fucking Jason is back at Camp Crystal Lake again.
Yeah, I know. It is so weird because the idea of putting him in the big city seems like a fun idea.
Yeah.
But they didn't deliver on it. So what was the point of doing it, really? And they got obviously all these budget cuts. And this is one where we have the weakest kills ever. There's some of the worst kills. They don't show a lot. The violence and gore is definitely toned down to a large extent. This is weird. The screenplay for the movie is different from the final version of the film in many ways, with some bigger than others. One small change came on set as one of the actors refused to do what was written, though this still was a call. Though this still a call that was probably for the best. Initially, Jason Voorhees would encounter a dog barking at him upon exiting the water in New York City. In response, Jason would have furiously kicked the living shit out of the dog, presumably killing the animal. When learning about this intended scene, Jason actor Kane Hodder refused to shoot it, feeling like it would be unbefitting of the character. Director Rob Hedden agreed, and the moment was axed without being filmed. If you're like me and you can't stand when dogs are killed in horror movies, you'll agree that obviously getting rid of this is probably the right decision. Nobody likes when Michael Myers slaughters that dog. You know, so I guess initially the director wanted more nudity too. That's sad.
There's some weird stuff like the kill with the guitar.
Yeah.
I'm like, take or leave that as a bit garbage.
I know.
Also, like I know I'm not expecting, like, I obviously know you have to like suspend your expectations or whatever, not ask too much of it. But why is that chick down in like the bowels of the ship playing guitar?
Just playing guitar. That scene is so cringy, man. And then that nerdy dude, they're trying to like trick the professor.
She's just like, I remember that, like, I found that really jarring. I was like, okay, so she's like away from everybody else down in like the fucking engine room or whatever.
Yeah, there's some stupid
just like
moments. She looks like Joey Ramone. Just like
This is happening.
not so deformed looking, because Joey Ramone did look like some sort of. He could be a horror villain in his own right, you know.
How do you feel about the head getting punched off?
That's a fun scene when it's like, and they're doing the boxing scene. That's one of the more memorable scenes of the film. So weird. Jason watering vomit is real. When the trademark unmasked Jason occurs towards the end of the film, where he looks horrible and his grotesque face is revealed after toxic waste begins to melt his body, we can see Jason vomiting a large amount of water as he starts breaking down. It was one of the last things to see him do before the killer transforms into how he appeared as a child when he drowns, and all of a sudden, like, you know, and then later on, like in the beginning of it, when he drowns, he looks like a normal kid. Then he later looks deformed. There's not coherent script writing in this at all. The vomiting in the scene appears to be an excellent special effects, but it's not. Kane Hodder apparently had a penchant for being able to vomit at will, and this is legitimately doing it as he explains in the commentary of Jason Takes Manhattan. He drank a gallon of water an hour before shooting, willfully vomiting what remained once the cameras were rolling. Weird, didn't know that.
You know what else I could have really, and this might seem like quite a small, like, pointless thing to say, but it was something that stuck out to me that I definitely would have cut out and alluded to a bit better, is the scene where he comes ashore, or whatever you want to call it, in that small boat,
Yeah,
and then he climbs up the anchor of the cruise ship.
yeah,
I don't know why, right? But just like the image of him climbing that, and like his big muscular, like veiny arms and stuff. It's like,
yeah.
you know what? Like, I feel like I would want you obviously to tell me that he's gotten onto the ship, but I don't know if I want to see him climb up the
I
fucking
know.
thing.
There's things that they added that they didn't need to add things like, and I did write down that, like, if it was actually on a cruise ship, that would have been fun.
Yeah.
That whole
Yeah.
idea of him actually being on a cruise ship where people are there to like party and hang out would have been like a fun idea, but they went a different direction and had him on some like steam ship or whatever. It's some like,
Yeah.
I don't know,
So
man.
even the concept of that telling me like, oh, Jason goes on a cruise ship and like kills a bunch of people, I'm like, you know what? I kind of want to see that. I'd love to make that myself. But
They
then
didn't do it.
when you first see the ship, it's like that's like some shit you see going out to, like, I don't know, like the North Pole or something.
I know. I don't know why they chose that.
It looks like some weird like knockoff Titanic tiny little ship that. And then, like, just all the scenes, like, didn't from there, then I'm going like, "Okay, alright, why is what?" So this thing looks like a big industrial, like, shit heap, but then there's, like, a
A
sauna,
dance floor.
like, there's a fucking boxing club.
I know.
What? Is this so random? Like,
It is very random. And the you have like that dance floor scene, which is kind of iconic, where it's like panning to different, she's all scared and you see like him popping out of nowhere. That was semi fun. I do definitely remember that scene when I was a kid, but it's a lot of things lacking. There's very cheap kills. There's, it's just so weird, man. I don't understand it.
it's
And then the
fuck
dad traumatizing his little girl, like just throwing her in the water, telling her Jason's gonna get her. And that whole thing is weird. And then like he's down there, he was actually down there, and then it's just like, oh, she knows him from a kid because her dad was trying to traumatize her to get her to swim. So weird.
this is definitely at this point again, I was on, like, say, such a high from the last couple of
Yeah,
movies.
yeah.
And then, like, this movie just takes a big dip for me where I'm like, there's definitely a concept here for some really cool movies.
Yeah.
And
They
I
didn't
think
pull
this,
through.
like, yeah, like you said, if this had been shot on an actual cruise ship, I would have been happy if we never even got to Manhattan. Just don't call it anything to do with Manhattan, and just have it like part 8,
Yeah.
fucking Jason goes on a cruise ship.
Yeah, I know.
And, like, just leave it at that, like, but have an actual huge cruise ship, because then you've got a lot of room to play with, like, okay, well, I can see now he could technically be able to, like, disappear and reappear in places on the ship.
Yeah,
Whereas
yeah.
this ship looked way too small at the dock as well.
I
I was like,
know.
2 minutes, where is all this shit? All this dance floors and saunas
It's
and all
so
that.
weak. No, they should do, right? They should have done Jason versus Waterboy. That would have been a pretty good movie. He uses his, because technically water is his like arch enemy,
The Battle of
technically.
the Cards.
Yeah, exactly, right. So it could have been, but there was obviously some fun stuff that happened with promoting this film when Jason Takes Manhattan was released in 1989. And it could have been so much better. There could have been more money into this. Producers were looking to promote the movie as much as they could because obviously they made it trashy. This led to the TV appearance on Arsenio Hall show, with Jason Voorhees as seen in the film appearing as a special guest. Of course, this is really Kane Hodder in costume as Jason, though he wouldn't break character once with the entire appearance on the show. Arsenio is visibly nervous as he asks Jason's various questions. Mute Jason does not respond in any way beyond staring coldly at Arsenio in return. And Arsenio criticizes the low body count in Jason Takes Manhattan. Apparently, Jason appears to get a little agitated by the end clip. Arsenio goes to handshake, and only for Jason to pull him in close to put a little jump scare on the TV show host. Looking back, the segment remains one of the most bizarre talk show appearances of all time.
Yeah, it is.
Very weird. Do you want me to get into the kills, I guess?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
All right, we're back with the kill count for Friday 13th Takes Manhattan. That old chestnut. Jason, Jim stabbed with a spear gun. Susie stabbed with a spear. JJ bashed in the head with electric guitar. Boxer hot. Sauna rocks to the chest. All of these were very weak. Tamara stabbed with multiple mirror shards. Jim Carson harpooned in the back. Admiral Robinson throat slit with a knife. Eva strangled. Crew member accidentally shot by Wayne. That's a fun kill. Wayne electrocuted on a control panel. That was probably one of the best graphics they had throughout the whole film. Miles impaled on an antenna. Deckhand axe on the back. Gangbanger number 1 stabbed through the back with his own syringe. Gangbanger number 2 bashed and scalped on a steam pipe. Julius decapitated by a punch. Irish cop dragged into an alley and killed off screen. Colin Van Dusen blown up with a car explosion. Charles, whatever his last name is, drowned in a barrel of sewage. Sanitation worker bashed in the head with a wrench. Now, a lot of them were pretty weak. Like, they didn't show a lot. It's just very quick and not a lot of like practical effects that they put into it. And disappointing.
I think as well.
Sorry if you hear my wife vacuuming. We're in a furious clean to get to the cottage. So I apologize if you guys.
Dun, dun, dun.
Sorry, guys. It's not my fault. Oops. So yeah, I was disappointed in this movie, for sure. Like, it's not an exciting way to end this deep dive because it is kind of. I liked it more as a kid, just because there was Jason. He was in a lot of the film. So, but as I rewatch it now, I'm kind of just disappointed.
It definitely took a huge dip for me at this point where I was like, fucking hell, like there's very little like redeeming qualities on this one.
Yeah.
And for that, I'm gonna give this one I'm gonna go like quite low here. I think I'm gonna give this like a 4. Maybe a 4 or a 5.
Yeah, I would say that too.
Yeah, because it's really like there's not very many redeeming qualities, and I feel like the biggest redeeming quality is having the conversation of like, oh, what if they had have got to film those scenes around the city?
Yeah, weird. I want to read some people's reviews. Spoilers, maybe. The Asian chick got a little more than an hour before it will be done. Finds her friends dead in the shower, doesn't scream, just turns and runs. People experience shock and fear and sadness different, so I don't care about that reaction. My issue is 1, she never screams help as he's chasing her around when there are several people on board still. 2nd, she ends up in a little party disco room, cute, whatever, places to hide. And I think you also see another floor or 2 as she's looking around in the center of the dance floor. Great. Does she ever leave the center of the dance floor? Nope. She just spins in circles, looking at everything for what feels like 5 to 10 minutes before she inevitably gets killed. Who wrote that part? I would discuss the rest of the movie, but all over the horror movie I've seen, I love Michael Myers and some of the Elm Street, whatever. It actually is some of the stupidest writing I've ever. So funny, and there's people that's giving it like some pretty good reviews. Let me start by saying Jason Voorhees is the most entertaining slasher of the 80s horror film craze, but as time flies, the movies become more painful to watch. I don't understand this plot whatsoever. Spoiler alert. So Jason has a long-term connection with a young girl who fell in the same lake as him, question mark. Now, years later at a senior cruise ship getaway to Manhattan, he wants to exact revenge, question mark, taking all of his frustrations out on not so innocent children. I don't mean to compare, but Freddy's franchise makes more sense. We're taking about someone killing in your dreams. Only watch this movie if you're new to the franchise or want to recap. Otherwise, this is the darkest side of the night song somehow fits in this movie. Well, I don't know what the hell that means. Yeah, a lot of people are disappointed.
It's unfortunate because they could have
This could have been awesome.
Yeah, it should have been. I mean, the concept lends itself well, I think, to what the franchise was, and it just should have been so much better.
Yeah, some people say it's a guilty pleasure. So,
I mean, it's like you said, I try to look at it through the lens now that you do, in a sense as well, of rewatchability of how many times will I realistically watch this again? And this
this
is
will be the
definitely,
least one.
yeah, this is definitely way lower than any of the others.
Yeah, I'll give it the same, like a 3.54,
Yeah.
like it is. And it's funny because I did enjoy it as a kid, but I just think it was because I was young and I liked Jason, and just seeing him in a movie satisfied me to some extent.
Yeah, you would
But
just take anything.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then yeah. Do you have anything? Is there any more fun facts about this horrible film?
Not really, to be honest with you. A lot of it centers around what could have been, to be totally
Yeah.
honest. Yeah. There is nothing else, and even when I listen to the director's commentary and stuff, you can just tell there's a little bit of it's quite an interesting listen. They're still quite positive and stuff, but there's a lot of alluding to well, we did actually want to do this, and
So
well, we did
sad,
actually
man.
ask if we do that, and we did actually plan to do this, and we did try and do that, and it's just all fucking. I mean, all bar, I think, the Times Square thing.
Yeah.
Any other piece where you're supposed to see him in Manhattan is Vancouver dressed
Of
up.
course. Why wouldn't you film in Toronto or something and then really go full tilt to make it try to look like New York?
Yeah, no, Vancouver, just because they said it was cheaper or something. They got tax breaks or something, and they tried to dress it up as that.
Okay, now we're gonna go. What is your favorite Jason face? Let's fucking pull him up on screen. Some are very iconic. What is that one in black and white? Weird. Is that the one from 2009?
Because I was going to pick that one straight away, but then I was like, I actually don't even know what that's from.
That's 2009, maybe. That one from Jason Takes Manhattan is so garbage, man. It looks so like a sad Muppet character that's been abused or something. Yeah, so weird. I actually kind of really like part 4. His bloodied up head and the really weird inbred look is kind of fun. I'll say that. And then obviously number 7 is kind of fun for what it is. He's unmasked Jason on screen as long as possible. And then I don't know. I'll say number 4. I dig that look.
So I'm going to be quite controversial and say probably 2009.
Really? Yeah.
Right.
I guess he looks scarier, but he looks like he's from what's that movies that you like that are really terrible? Wrong Turn.
Oh yeah.
We'll have to cover that at some point because I do
Billy kind of vibe. But right, okay, so let's say excluding him, probably the OG kid.
Yeah.
I find that so horrifying. I don't know what it is about it. That bulbous head with the caved in side of the face, the fucked up teeth, the weird eye.
If you had to kiss one, I'm just kidding.
Jesus. I kissed the kid.
Yeah, it's so weird. The kid is because it is freaky, and that is very iconic for what Jason looks like. And I remember as a kid, right? That's when I was really obsessed with this stuff. That's a lot of the images that would pull up, especially when you watch the first one of who he actually is, and you kind of get the first appearance of him.
Yeah.
These I do love this whole franchise for what it is. Yes, some could have been better than others, and there's some that are very disappointing, but it is still a very nostalgic thing to me. And I had a lot of love for Jason Voorhees when I was a kid. I used to draw him all the time, and I was very much obsessed with it. And for everybody that is watching and listening, we'll release it if Aaron wants to for a little sneak peek into some of the stuff on Patreon. But we did do a commentary on Jason Goes to Hell, one of the worst ones in my opinion. I would rather watch Jason Takes Manhattan. I'm not going to lie. But we did watch it, and especially if you're able to get it, you'll hear you'll hear the audio. We'll probably just release the audio for a little bit as a little bit of a teaser. So if you want to hear our thoughts on that, we do go through some of the facts of the movie and the budget and all the stuff that was going on at the time with what they were supposed to do with that movie. And it's such a weird concept. So, and you can watch it with us. We put the movie up on screen. We went live stream on Rumble to it because Rumble is a little more lenient, and we had 300-400 people that watched it. So, everybody, check that out. And, we'll I don't know if Aaron feels like it, but maybe we'll release it for like a month so you can hear our opinions on it. And then it kind of, if you want to really watch it with us, definitely subscribe to the Patreon. That's the best way to support the show, obviously. And eventually we'll be doing new merch designs and all that type of fun stuff.
Yeah, I just mirror everything Tom said. We appreciate everyone if you've gotten this far.
Yes.
To the end of this second part of this, what will end up being like a probably 4.5 hour deep dive in total. Which I feel
I
like
liked it. I wanted to cover it, dude. I wanted to get there's certain deep dives like I've said, right? Like, and I've said the air and off air. It's like building a house, right? You got to have the foundation of what has made horror. What is some of the most nostalgic and classic horror films? At some point, I'd like to talk about the Universal monsters. Like, I do think there's a good thing to kind of put a base level of what, especially slasher films, what makes slasher film. And this, without, you can't have the horror genre without Jason and Freddy and stuff. Really, you can't. Like, it's just they are the staple that kind of keeps some of this stuff together, right? And very nostalgic.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. But yeah, make sure to check us out on social media. We're probably both most active on Instagram and stuff like that. I'm on Instagram under First Class Horror. We're on all platforms so far anyway, still YouTube and everything like that. Anyone that's listened to audio, you can check out the video format of majority of the shows over on
YouTube or Rumble. Support Rumble. Support that platform.
If you want to look at some of the stuff we're pulling up on screen, images, behind the scenes stuff, things like that, it can be quite fun. And stay tuned. We have some cool stuff coming into, I guess, autumn and into Halloween and shit like that. So we'll have a lot of stuff to announce and a lot more content coming your way.
Yes,
and,
I think we're gonna go full circle and finish this.
Yeah, I think that's probably the move, to be honest.
I think I want to do it and just get it like out of the way realistically, because then we're not bouncing around. Then we're kind of back to it. And for everybody watching, we'll end it on a fun thing here. Just we'll just pull up Julius getting his head knocked off. It is a fun time. Just bash.
Punched off. Goodbye.
And then going right into the trash. Okay. Give us 5-star rating review. Support the show, everybody. And we love you. Kissy kissy. Stay horny for horror, everybody.
Bye, folks.